I kind of missed that voice of the.
Don't go back.
I missed that. Yeah, like I said, it's been more than a year.
You should make him say acknowledged whenever he comes on.
Acknowledged.
No, acknowledged.
Acknowledged.
Acknowledged?
You'll understand when you're older.
I mean, I just turned the age of drinking. That close enough.
Yeah, but you gotta hit the age of cold steel.
So what, 5 years from now?
It better be this year.
It's not going to be this year, I'm just going to say
You got two games to get through to get there.
Yes,
Really?
I'm back to support.
You can do US play order. FC, SC, Cold Steel 1, Cold Steel 2, Sky 3rd, Cold Steel 3, Cold Steel 4, Zero Azure.
That sounds disgusting.
Don't do that.
Welcome everyone to the Anonymous Gamers. I am your host, AvatarAidan, here with my two co-hosts, KibbsMcGibbs and Knackster.
Hello.
Howdy.
I guess we just get into it now. We basically start with a fucking US Trails thing.
I love trails.
Yeah, this is the catch-up episode. Next episode will be me and Gibbs basically talking endlessly about 2024. Yeah, 2024. I have to look up the calendar real quick. I'm getting too old. But first, Knack, you played Metroid games, didn't you?
I sure did.
I am actually interested to hear you talk about these because I played the Prime trilogy. I know Gibbs only played one and didn't really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fine.
so I played Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, and Metroid Prime Hunters last year.
I am actually the most interested in 2 and 3, actually.
Well, let me start with Prime 2. The single longest game in my backlog. For a very long time. I have basically had that game since it came out. My uncle bought it because he thought it looked cool, brought it over, we played it. I thought it was kind of cool. I tried to play it a couple times and could just never finish it. I would always put it down for some reason. So last year when I had set like a sort of bet with a friend at work where before the direct came on, I was like, nah, there's no way they'll announce Prime 4. You know what? If they do, I'll play through Prime 2 and 3. And then they revealed Prime 4 still exists.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to dig my Wii out because I wanted to play it with my original GameCube version. I plugged that bad boy in and I played Prime 2, and it's pretty good.
I think sorry.
No, you continue.
I think what's interesting, because I've been hearing a lot more about that over the past, like, near decade, ever since, like, around 2017, 2018, that, like, Prime 2 is now contender for the favorite or the best of the trilogy, when that wasn't the same thing 2 decades prior when it first came out.
Yeah, I don't actually know if I would say it's my personal favorite. I think I'm still a little partial to the first one. Things I like about Prime 2, one, the suit designs are sick as hell.
Oh, they're fire.
You give me some good Metroid suits, and I'm a happy camper. I thought the switching between the light and dark ether was a cool gimmick, though there was a couple times where I felt it was a little overused. Metroid Prime bosses in general are something I'm kind of like 50-50 on. Prime
Some
2
of them can be good. Some of them can be good, and then some of them can be like the most annoying bosses you ever fought. I get that. That was me with even outside of Metroid. That's just a thing I noticed. It's like they're either really good or really fucking easy or annoying.
They can just be a little spongy, I find, in the Prime games. Although I didn't find that as much of an issue in 2 as I did in something coming up. But yeah, I'll kind of keep it brief and just say I enjoyed 2. After 2, I think I played Hunters next. I think I did that in between the trilogy, if I remember. I don't like Hunters. I wanted to like that game. I like when they do weird, silly control schemes, but that one was just not it. I genuinely got like hand cramps trying to play that game because I
Isn't
bought
it
an
like
original
isn't
DS
it like
cartridge.
isn't it like the predecessor to the Kid Icarus like controls game with like one hand on one side of the console and they use the stylus to aim and all that stuff?
It is, but Kid Icarus just felt better, and even Kid Icarus, I never fully loved the controls. I just got used to them at some point. But even on top of the controls, Hunters is just... There's a lot of reuse throughout that game. You're fighting like the same mini bosses like 100 times. There's like 3 main bosses that they cycle through at the end of each mission, which is kind of lame.
So it has the Crisis Core problem.
I haven't played Crisis Core in a while, but sure. Yeah, overall, I played it to say I did it, and because I know that a guy from it shows up in Prime 4. I don't feel any more particularly enriched having played it, but it was cool that I did. So now I can move on to Prime 3.
You mean Federation Force?
Nope, didn't play that one.
You should do that.
I didn't play that or Prime Pinball.
He needs friends for that.
Prime 3 was great. I really enjoyed that game. I was expecting it to be like the clear bottom of the barrel, and I don't know if I'd say it was. I really enjoyed how the pointer controls felt in that game. I do think the bosses were a little spongy for my tastes. That's probably my biggest complaint now. There's some things to rectify that. They give you the hyper mode, which is like a DPS button.
Hyper mode's a double trigger, is what me and my friends call it.
Ish. Yeah. I don't know. It was really fun to point at the screen and shoot. I think they did a good job with that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
In general, I really like Metroid. I find the exploration is really satisfying. I think the Prime games tend to be fairly beautiful for their hardware. I like the slow, just kind of going around and scanning things. So I'm very excited for Prime 4.
Now, I know, like, Prime 3 you said was expecting bottom barrel. Now, typically, Prime 3 is the weakest for a reason that most Metroid fans tend to agree on, I would say, which is something you didn't really acknowledge. Prime 3, the problem with Prime 3 most people have, myself included, is its progression and its, like, design being more focused towards the Wii audience. Because playing it, because you go from 2 and you then to 3, you realize that 3 is more linear, which is some.
So yeah, 3 you split it up into basically you're going on. I think it's 4 planets rather than 1, and yeah, I will say that it is definitely a bit more straightforward. But I still feel outside of the introductory sequence where it's kind of like a action set piece, I find there's still that sense of Metroid progression in there. I didn't mind the shift to zones, personally. I want them to go back to the big interconnected map for the next one, but it didn't really bother me here.
Yeah. I mean, there is some of that, like, exploration that I really enjoy in Metroid, just getting lost and, like, exploring areas. But it doesn't feel as natural as 2 or 1, and that's probably because of the 4-planet structure it has. But I will say I do like that finale. That finale was, not gonna lie, kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it definitely had like the best, probably like final boss sequence.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna replay the trilogy this year, so that for Prime 4, obviously. I'll probably give myself an updated look back since I haven't played them since 2021. But before I do that, Kibbs, you played a well-known RPG this year, and mind telling us what you think of Final Fantasy VII?
I was very worried about getting into Final Fantasy VII. I've always been worried about getting into 7 specifically because of its like reputation.
What about 9 though? I think you said something as being afraid of 9 as well.
I'm afraid of 9 because a couple of people that I know really don't like it.
But you got us too. Me and Knack, we both love 9.
Yeah, but it's like that one I'm just worried to get into for a few reasons.
There is some stuff, knowing your tastes, that I think you're not gonna like about 9. I will say that.
I also just realized one of the people that doesn't really like it is Alex, the fabled,
did.
the legend.
The legend.
I have told you my opinions on his particular criticisms of 9.
And the way he plays games sometimes.
Because his are like the opposite of my criticisms. Because I do have criticisms for it, despite it being.
Oh, 9 has
favorite.
problems, definitely.
That said, I believe this is an FF7 discussion.
Yeah.
It is an FF7. So tell us your thoughts going through FF7 for the first time.
I get it. It's one of the greatest JRPGs that have ever been made.
Would you say it's like a 7 out of 10?
Yeah. Yep, it's the Final Fantasy X though is not a 10 out of 10. Sorry. It was so surreal going through Final Fantasy VII though, because obviously I knew a lot of like the big spoilers, which did color my perspective of things. I made sure to have a certain party member with me at all times in the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to put up a spoiler warning for the original FF7?
Put a spoiler warning for a spoiler that's become the Darth Vader is my father of video games.
I'm so sad that it was spoiled, and it's just one of those things that like everybody knows because
I feel like
spoiler alert, Aerith dies, and
What?
I know I would have used her as one of my main characters if I didn't have any clue as to what would
But I
happen.
feel like if that wasn't as widespread as it is now, or even back then, 7 wouldn't have been as well known as it is today.
I
I
do think it's a part of it.
I find it unfortunate because, like, its prevalence, I think, it does a disservice to how well I think they actually set it up and how much impact it has on the game going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Definitely.
I agree. There was some, I don't know, the part of why it has the reputation it does is like because of that moment. So it's kind of hard to talk about 7 without talking about that. But I do think it also does kind of undermine the rest of the game, because the gameplay still holds up, in my opinion. I will say I did play the Switch port, so I did have the speed up button, which was a godsend, because I don't know that I would have been able to like go through the slower combat.
It's funny
like
you say that.
The normal pace.
It's funny you say that because I replayed it this year to get myself ready for Remake. I played it, so I was expecting to play the PS1 version using the mod for the Steam version. I played the OG PC version. With like the awful keyboard, with the awful keyboard control, and the slightly rearranged soundtrack. So it was very interesting going through it. But like even with the slow pace, I still felt like 7's combat has like a speed to it that's like, it's not as fast as some of the other JRPGs, even Final Fantasies before it, like 5. But I do think like the spectacle of it, especially as charming as it is now, given how it's an early PS1 game, still is fascinating to think about to this day, because Final Fantasy VII back then was probably the most expensive video game ever made. So seeing all of this in the current context, like, oh, this was made, it was expensive, and it was the big juggernaut of JRPGs, like, it's very fascinating to think about.
Also, just the materia system is really fun.
It's probably the, no, I don't want to say the most not free form. Shit, what am I thinking of? Customizable.
It just gives you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. You can really do anything with anyone. I was kind of stressing about that, the lead up to losing Aerith. Like, who am I gonna put in place? And I realized you could put anybody. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can have the
like,
cat heal you all day.
Exactly.
Why would you want to have the cat heal you all day though?
Because the kitty is silly.
But the kitty could do the powerful magic.
Well, I didn't use it, so I don't actually.
What was your
Who
final
your
team?
party? Yeah.
Oh, I know I had Red 13 and obviously Cloud. I think I went with Tifa? I don't remember. I think I swapped around a lot. I used Vincent for a while and then I swapped him out for someone else. But yeah, no, Red 13. I also when I was going through the game, I named all of my characters Tekken 7, I think. No, or Tekken 3. I think it was Tekken 3 because when I got Red 13, I named him Tekken 13.
Oh no.
So
So at one point, Tekken 3 cradling Tekken 3 said Tekken 3 is gone.
What the hell?
I didn't actually save it as the name, but it was. I always put that in.
I mean, it's not the worst name I've heard. I've seen.
It's pretty bad.
No, I've seen a friend. I'm not gonna name him, but I am gonna put his fucking YouTube profile on screen to call him out because this is also partially my fault. He named every Final Fantasy VII character he can name fucking Shark Tail character from DreamWorks.
That's so real, honestly.
Like your Cloud is like Oscar. It's so cursed.
Oh no. To cap off my 7 experience, that final boss was like I was in awe the entire time. There's something it was very surreal playing through the whole game, but hearing like One Winged Angel.
Oh, in its original context,
yeah, it is. It's life changing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the 2-minute cutscene with one attack.
Bye bye.
I like that attack though because it also is context for who the main villain is as well. All spectacle but no substance.
It's crazy.
Which is literally the poster quote for the main villain of that game. I don't know. Anything else you need to say on 7 Kibbs?
I don't think I could do anything else justice, honestly. Like I think anything that I would say has been said, and I'm just late to the party. I'm really late to the party.
I like Cloud.
I like Cloud. I like Cloud.
Okay, wait. One last thing. The whole situation when Cloud gets like hospitalized, the like lead up and like fall out of that, it was kind of funny seeing everything happen with like these like PS1 like models just kind of like flying around.
Oh, do you mean like when the hospital is collapsing? Yeah. And you see like Cloud in the wheelchair. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. It probably will not shock you to know that just Cloud in the wheelchair is just a meme in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's good. It's like
he's trying.
Lost my mind at that. Oh,
it's such a meme that one of my friends, when we were playing VR chat, made wheelchair Cloud PS1 his fucking.
It's kind of sad though, because he was going through a real like crisis at the time. And it wouldn't be until after that event that he would get to the core of it.
No, it's sad because, like you said, it's sad.
Just didn't take my segue.
It's crisis core.
No. Oh, crisis core. Okay, I guess it's my turn to talk about 7 because I played almost everything from the compilation of 7 or the world of 7, or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't fucking care. So I guess I'll go in release order in this case. So I think it's first Advent Children. Am I right?
Sounds correct. I can pull up the timeline if you want.
Let me grab it real quick.
I think Advent Children was the first piece
final
of the compilation.
Here we go. Compilation of Final Fantasy 7.
It might have been before Crisis. Might have started before.
Before Crisis. Before Crisis. I haven't played before Crisis, so.
No one.
Then it's Advent Children, yeah. So yeah, Advent Children. I saw it for the first time this year because they were doing a anniversary thing in select theaters, and it was playing near my theater, so I went to it. Advent Children is, as I would call, enjoyable fan fiction.
Yeah.
Because like, there's some cool things about it, I'm not going to say, but it's also like there's some moments where like, it's definitely they don't understand some things that what made 7 interesting, and that's basically all I can say. That's basically what I could say about most of these compilation of 7's titles. But like, the animation's dated, but it still has its charm with that industrial look. And the fight scenes are really well done. And I nagged on the score a little bit last year, but after watching it, I'm like, I get it now. I get it. Like, some of those songs are bangers. But no, it's like a 5 out of 10 movie for me. It's whatever. It exists.
For a CGI film made in 2005, it holds up visually extremely.
Yeah. Then we get
Square Enix, right?
Hmm?
I said leave it to Square Enix.
Yeah, no,
They've
yeah,
been kind of ahead with their cutscenes.
if there's one thing they always get, it's their visuals.
Yep.
Mhm.
And sadly, we got the sequel to Advent Children a year later, and it's the bane of my fucking existence.
Final Fantasy
Dirge of
VII snowboarding.
They made a snowboarding game?
Yeah, they made a snowboarding mobile game.
They did.
That technically came out. I've got the timeline.
I have the timeline
Yeah.
right now. I'm like, wait, I didn't need that. But no, we're talking about Dirge of Cerberus because, goddamn, that game is the most boring game I have ever played.
Yeah, this is the only one I think of the FF7 games that you've played that I haven't.
It's bad, but I kind of want you to play it to realize how boring it is. The level design, like I played some third-person shooters and some first-person shooters. The level design in this game is actually atrocious. It's just linear hallways with nothing to do. Like no battle, like the battle arenas are just wide open areas. And even some battle arenas, even bosses, they'll have the shop in the arena, so you can just buy all the fucking potions you want.
Yeah, but have you considered that Vincent's epic?
Vincent's cool, his story is interesting, but fucking his wife is the most annoying character in all of FF7.
Lucretia?
Yeah, Lucretia. I hate Lucretia.
Oh, is she like prominent in it?
Yeah, she's prominent. It's all about Vincent in his past.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would just figure, her like being trapped in like a crystal or something might have made it difficult. But I guess there's probably flashbacks.
Yeah, but like besides Lucretia's annoying, but besides her, all the other characters that aren't like the interesting, main party from FF7 are all they have the fucking personality of a fucking toaster. They are so uninteresting to me. And the game is so easy as well. Like, one of the bosses, I just used my box standard pistol and killed it in 5 seconds. It's just... I can make an entire fucking video on Dirge of Cerberus, honestly. It is one of the most, like... It's interesting to think about. I mean, there's also... It has a good presentation. I'll say that. Like, for a PS2 game, that's pretty visually impressive. It has the same CGI... It has the same CGI as Advent Children, so CGI cutscenes look really good. And there's some good songs, but man, it was honestly a snore fest. And then we got to and then I got to the twist near the end. I'm not gonna say it, but it made me realize that the Kingdom Hearts fanfiction writing was there from the beginning. Was there from the start.
I have a question.
Yes.
By the end of the game, do you know what the phrase Dirge of Cerberus means?
No. No.
It's like, I sort of understand what Advent Children and Crisis Core as titles mean, but having not touched Dirge of Cerberus, I do not understand.
I honestly don't know, because by the end, I was like just trying to get through it as fast as possible. I was just fucking done.
What does the word Dirge even mean?
What is a dirge?
A lament for the dead, especially one forming part of a funeral rite. So is it like, did like Vincent's dog die, and that's what this is all about?
Yeah.
What the dog do?
Well, actually, isn't his... Because his gun has like 3 barrels, right? Is that supposed to be the Cerberus?
Probably. Well, technically he has 3 guns in this game.
Yeah, Cerberus is his weapon in both... Okay, in both Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus.
I don't know what that was because he has a pistol,
So
he has a
funny.
sniper, and he
Or
has
maybe-
a stock standard machine.
Or maybe it's like when he kills you, he's like, I'm gonna give you your Dirge of
I'm gonna
Cerberus.
give you a Dirge of Cerberus
No.
in the most like 2006 like edgy rock kind of way.
Are the
But no.
credit is the credit song Linkin Park? Anything by Linkin Park?
Yeah, it's
no.
numb.
No, Nick, you need to play Dirge Cerberus. It is the most like interesting game I've played in any FF title.
That sounds like a threat.
It kind of is.
I know there's like, because it is like that missing piece of FF7. I've considered. I don't
It
know,
is
maybe.
besides the phone game everyone knows about. It is the lowest rated Final Fantasy game.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. Anyway, let's talk about Crisis Core now because I need a breather. Crisis Core is okay. I played it. I like the combat. I think the combat's really good. I think honestly, having played the 2 remake games that we have at the moment, I think 7 Crisis Core has the best action combat of the 3, surprisingly. Like,
Even
you
over
have-
like Remake and Rebirth.
huh?
Even over Remake and Rebirth.
Even over a remake? What?
Didn't you? Or did you say of the? I thought you said of the recent.
Of Crisis Core and the 2 remakes we have.
Yeah,
at the
Remake
moment.
and Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying over those.
Yeah, I think Crisis Core like faithfully transitioned 7's combat, like the style of 7 and what its battle system was more faithfully than Remake and Rebirth is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, because
I
I
prefer
haven't.
the materia system in Crisis Core.
I haven't played Rebirth yet, but I've just heard like almost everyone is saying like, yeah, that's like the peak Final Fantasy battle system. So that's just interesting.
I'm not saying too much. I do really enjoy the combat in Rebirth. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you get to play as Red 13. That's a plus.
Admittedly, Crisis Core has been a minute for me. I played that game in like 2012.
I played the
and I played the
remake.
PSP version. So
I own it. I also own Remake and Rebirth. I haven't touched either of those yet. I'm gonna be late to every Final Fantasy VII party.
at this point, you should probably play Crisis Core first.
yeah, I'd say having context of Rebirth, play Crisis Core first.
Okay.
I kind of wish I played Crisis Core before Rebirth, but I like the story. I like some of the story in Crisis Core. Zack is honestly carrying the story more than he fucking should. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this gave me realize, wait, Zack's actually like one of the coolest characters in FF7. But I feel like my problem with Crisis Core is the repetitiveness of it. Like, it's just combat after combat after combat after combat. And while there are cool things in the story, like with Zack, aka mostly Zack, it still has that that Dirge of Cerberus Advent Children fan fiction-y writing to it. Like, the fucking villain of Crisis Core is so fucking forgettable. I forgot his name already.
How could you forget my goat Genesis?
Dennis. By the time I got to like chapter 9 of 10, I was like, oh wait, he exists. But like, there's not much I could say on Crisis Core because it's all like the same. I give shit on Birth by Sleep for its repetitive, but at least there were some interesting things to not tidy it up, but make it more interesting than fucking Crisis Core.
I just remember it being because it's all like mission based, right?
It's all mission based, yeah.
So you're like you'll like every chapter get like a new environment, and then that environment's added to like the list of like places you can go to missions on. Something like that, if I remember correct.
Yeah.
So weird.
That's a very like PSP style of game design.
Yeah, because y'all played Naruto and you like said there was like a.
It's very similar, yes.
Yeah.
Like there's
like-
just because I think part of it is because like the PSP, right? Like it's prioritizing that fidelity, but it can only have so many maps. on any given right because the UMDs are so big. So I think that mission structure was just popular in a lot of different PSP games to get the playtime up without having to make too many environments.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like Crisis Core is fine. Like I'm not gonna like drop it to like play it again. But like if I ever needed to for like a recording thing or something, I wouldn't mind because I enjoy the combat. Like I said, because I think the material system's done better in Crisis Core. And now we get to probably the most controversial title so far. Whatever. We'll get to Remake.
So remember earlier when I said FF7's a 7 out of 10?
Uh-oh.
I meant Final Fantasy 16. Which is to say I enjoyed it, but I had a couple problems with it. Overall, I lean positive on this game. I'll start with a couple things that I enjoy about it. I generally like the characters. Clive and Sid definitely were the highlights for me. Those guys were pretty cool. I enjoyed the story. I would not call it my favorite in the series by any mean. And I had fun with the combat.
You only had fun with it?
You only had fun with it?
I think there's a lot of problems with Season's combat.
Really?
Yes, So my...
Wait, let me ask one question.
Go ahead.
Is it the fucking cooldown of the special abilities?
That definitely did not help.
I fucking knew it.
It goes more into it. Because this is probably the aspect of 16 I've thought about the most. I will preface by saying I do not give a single fuck if Final Fantasy wants to be turn-based or action at this point.
Thank you.
I've just accepted that, like, all right, yeah, they want to move away from it, do it. I like action games.
It's also the fact they've been wanting to do it since Final Fantasy 13 for like 15 years ago.
But if you're gonna make your genre an action game, then I'm gonna judge you as an action game.
Fair.
And I ain't gonna hold back the punches. So where I think 16, falters is I feel it constrains the player a little bit too much in terms of what it affords them. Like, you've got all these cool options, and then they're like, alright, so your loadout can only be like 3 summons at a time, and you can only have like 2 of these guys, and all your moves are on cooldowns, and as a result, I feel the effect that has on the game loop is it kind of becomes like, alright, well, with my resources, I gotta figure out what the optimal rotation is. And as I started to kind of figure that out, almost every fight became the same thing for me. It would be, alright, I get my stagger down, now I run through and do the exact same loop, max out my DPS, kind of rinse and repeat. And coming off of something like Devil May Cry, which I was pretty excited for this game, knowing it was the same combat director, I much prefer the approach there, where it's a lot more freeform. You have like a billion options at once. It might be a little overwhelming, but as you get the mastery on it, it feels really good. Whereas like 16, I felt that mastery came a little too early for me.
I feel like
that's fair.
That's fair. I feel like there's like, I think it's also like 16 to, I don't know if this is true or not, but I get the vibe that 16's trying to like bridge like RPG enjoyers into action games, which is why I think they have those restrictions.
So I agree, and I feel like it's kind of meeting both of those halfway, and I would have rather it just like pushed one or the other. Because also, even not to compare it to like Devil May Cry, but even comparing it to something like Kingdom Hearts, I think Kingdom Hearts is much more effective as an action game in how it gives you tools, lets you experiment with them, let you figure out.
I was about to say Hi-Fi Rush, but I realized you have like you're not not musically gifted. You said you had
I played Hi-Fi Rush.
I know you played it, but like you told us last year that
I struggled.
You have a hard time. Yeah, you struggle with
you guys more than you guys, but I still really enjoyed it. Like, I think that is a better action game. 100%.
Oh, I gotta disagree on that.
You're
one.
right,
I
you're
think
right,
that
you're
game
right.
is much more mechanically satisfying.
That's fair.
And
I think
that's a
Hmm?
big thing for me, is that mechanical satisfaction. Because that's
I
going to come
had
up again in a later game.
I had a lot of fun with 16 when I played it. I found it to be like mechanically very satisfying. I think the further in that you get, it does kind of start to not fall apart, but there was a point of like, okay, well, these are kind of the best couple of icons that you should be using. So most of the time by end game, people have at least there's one in particular that everyone always has.
And its
then-
name is Odin, baby!
Yeah. Odin
And
is
then
just
the
Virgil. It's fun.
the other two it's like
I
the other two
typically
are
had
like two of
Bahamut
like
in my
three.
rotation,
Yeah.
too.
Most people have Bahamut and Odin. I ran Garuda. I think
That was my main three, was those. But I did
Yeah.
try to switch them up a lot.
I switched up a fair bit as I played the game. The only one I didn't really touch was I didn't really interact with Ramu like at all.
Ramu was also my least favorite.
I did not like Ramu either.
Yeah, oh, thank
It just
goodness.
felt no, he feels so slow compared to the rest of them.
He felt very stationary.
Like I loved some of Ramu's abilities, but I would just master those and use them on other icons.
Yeah.
Like I loved setting the little electric orb down.
Yeah,
I
I will say though, I do like how you can kind of move different icons around, like
Yeah.
and like their abilities. If you master it, you can set it on whatever other icon. I like the amount of customizability, so it doesn't just lock you into like these are your three icons that you have to use.
Funny story, actually.
Oh no.
So you know how you can switch the icons around?
Mhm.
Not saying I didn't do that, but I, honest to God, thought I had to keep Phoenix on for the entire game.
Oh, I took Phoenix off early.
No, so my entire playthrough when I first played it was Phoenix, Garuda. I kept Garuda because I honestly forgot to God love Garuda. Then early on, as soon as I got Titan, removed Ramu. Switched
was great.
Then switched around between Titan and Bahamut. Then when I got Odin, I just took a Bahamut off and just went for Odin.
Because I do want to be fair to 16. Because again, right, like while I've mostly listed my criticisms with combat, the things that feel good in combat feel really good. All the iconic abilities, with the exception of Ramu, I had a really fun time using, and that's sort of where it goes into. Is like, I wish Titan was just something I could always switch to, because it's fun to do like a Titan block, but sometimes and like some of the like bigger bosses, I'm like, well, I'm not going to get that much mileage out of it. Let me take it off my rotation, and it just sort of goes into that. Or like building like
I can see
Bahamut
that.
meter and popping it later. And like, even with how like cheesy Odin was, I don't think I ever got bored with using Odin. I will say that.
Like I
And
said,
like, once I learned how to get like 2 Xantexicans off in a in like a stagger, that was like a kind of revitalization moment. Generally too, like that first like hour or two of experimenting with an icon was always really fun. Even the DLC icon, which you guys didn't play with, was good. In fact, the DLC, we'll talk about that real quick. The DLCs are both really fun.
the only thing I know about one of the DLCs is a tweet by King K that says the most fun I've ever had killing a Blade.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
gonna say
I know
what.
exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, I just stared at it and I'm like, what?
Both of the DLC fights are like excellent and are probably the hardest content in the game. That's another thing. I wish hard mode was locked to post game.
You mean Final Fantasy mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, the game. Game is very easy.
I mean, I'm not gonna say like it's extremely easy. I got my ass kicked a few times.
No,
but
it's
I like
extremely
It's
easy.
extremely easy.
maybe I'm just bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, if I'm allowed to get dogged on for how bad I was at Hi-Fi Rush, I can dog on you for being
I'm allowed
bad.
to be talked about for
So,
Final
I will
Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16 was my first interaction with Doom.
Oh, the mechanic?
Yeah, I was just fighting something, and I think it just like cast Doom, and I was like, what does that do?
What's
and
that
I just
number
keep
on my
wailing on
head?
the guy, and then I just died, and I was like, oh, what?
It's interesting. Well, here's the thing, though, Caleb. That's actually not correct.
Is that not correct?
Your first interaction was in a game 3 places lower than 16.
Oh god.
Because that's the gimmick of the final boss fight.
Well, I didn't beat that.
You
guy.
might have just like TPS checked it into oblivion and not even noticed.
Yeah.
Because that's what the final boss fight was.
That could be. I did kind of. I went crazy on that game though. So
Yeah,
like,
'cause
I was.
If I remember correctly, I guess spoilers because I know Aiden, you're playing through it. But I remember the final
Just
boss literally
spoil it. I don't
cast,
give a
the
shit.
final boss literally casts Doom on you, and you have a minute to kill it. So it's like the final DPS check. I think it's a great final boss. I think that really fits in that game system.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. I guess I just forgot that was what it was
You
called.
forget his favorite
But yeah,
Final Fantasy game, and he
that's your first
forgot.
time encountering it in like a more normal gameplay context.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh.
other than that, like there are some characters that I feel like kind of got shafted by the narrative. In particular, I wish Homegirl Jill got a bit more to do.
Yeah.
Why do Clive and Jill like give me life? They are one of the cutest couples, in my opinion.
I was kind of neutral on them.
You didn't
Like-
feel anything at the beach scene?
I liked it, but if you're gonna invest me in a romance, I want to be invested in both people, and I was kind of only invested in Clive.
They're not Zidane
That's
and Garnet for
fair.
you. I get it.
There's a lot of relationships I could put above them. And yes, I would. Put them.
Like Estelle and Josh.
I would. or Reen and Ha Ha Ha.
Who? Who?
You'll.
We'll get
learn
there.
when
We'll
you're
get there
older.
pretty soon on the list.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I love Reen Schwarzer.
Me too.
But yeah, I think that's most of what I have to say on 16.
Did you do any of the side like combat
Oh.
challenges where like where
Oh.
you have to
I
have
am
like,
talking
the
about
individual
side
icons?
quests.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
I
so
shouldn't have opened this can of worms.
okay, so no, actually, no. You bringing that up is good though. That is the one piece of 16 I did not do a lot with, and I do feel like I missed out a bit there.
Mm,
But I only discovered those really late into my playthrough,
that's fair.
and that was like I'm so close to beating this game, and I've
Yeah.
I've already done like all the others. I think I discovered those after I had finished the DLC to like put it in perspective.
Damn.
And I was like, if there's one thing I'm gonna cut, it's these. I did attempt them once, and
Mhm.
I felt like that seemed like it was a really fun challenge.
They were those were super fun. Part of the highlight of my
But
my
Yeah.
playthrough.
I did every side quest and every hunt. I like the hunts. The hunts are pretty good. No complaints there. They are just like those were like really where my only deaths occurred outside of the DLC was on some of the hunts. They're just the combat push to its relative limit. I think 90% of the side quests are bad.
You're not the first
And-
person I heard who said that, by the way.
Part of that, part of it's on me. Like I could have, if I wasn't enjoying them, I could have just stopped playing them. But I'm a believer that if you're gonna put something in a game, it should be good. And I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna criticize it, even if I don't like it. Yeah, I just like. There's a couple that I think like did like some good like world building, good fleshing out, but a lot of them felt like just really menial, like your typical, hey Clive, I'm out of herbs, can you get me some? Yeah, sure. And like maybe 3-4 side quests from now, it'll be like, oh, there's like a sad payoff because now, spoiler alert, yeah, that herb girl died when Titan raided the hideout. That's kind of sad. But
Like, I like the side quests for I'm not usually super into world building like stuff.
Really?
No, not really. I think.
But you're a
like,
writer. You should flourish in that.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, I don't tend to care like as much about like worlds as much as I do like the characters and the stories themselves.
I get
like,
that. Yeah. I get that.
And so because like I have a D&D campaign that I've been running for the last like 2 years, and the world building started off super basic, and I just had characters and here's what they do. And like, I think tying in the world building to the characters in like a meaningful way with the side quests really worked for me. When I went through 16, but I also totally get why some of the quests are. It's just like, yeah, go get me some plants, or just walk over here and then look at this thing for a little bit and then go back.
Because on that, I will actually branch off of that, because like the ones I did enjoy were typically the ones where every region had sort of like a quest, like a main quest giver, and like those I felt all built towards like decent endings, right? In particular, it's the funny moment is because when you get to the final chapter and the game's like, by the way, here's 16 side quests, have fun, and it's like, oh, that's a lot, but those are also all the best ones.
Yeah.
And you have like actual like character send-offs. And I'm like, okay, these are pretty good. I just wish there were less, and the ones that were more. And also, I wish that characters other than Clive got to comment on them a little more often, because I felt like that would have been sort of a great time to build up some of your party members contextually. Like, just getting to learn sort of more of their thoughts in these downtime moments, I thought could have been a strong way to build them.
I think if you played this before you got into Trails, you'd probably view it a little more favorably, because Trails goes above and beyond when it comes to its side
it is
quests and
funny
stuff.
because yes, that is the direct thing I'm comparing it to, because like
Of course.
I've never gotten burnt out on doing side quests and Trails for that reason. Like, even like, because Trails has some dinky side quests, I'm not going to pretend that they're all like 10 out of 10s, but there is always those little character flourishes that keep them going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this 16 section's probably gone on long enough. I'm ready to move on. You know, I've attacked it from a couple different angles, at least 3 angles.
3 angles.
Like the triangles. You hit it with the triangles.
I just realized. You played triangle strategy last year. I almost forgot about that.
I wish I could forget about that. It's funny, actually. I had to pull up my notes that I wrote when I played the game, because I played it like at this point. I think it's been over a year.
Did you also say you were like planning to make a video on it before you like scrapped that idea?
I was going to, and I do want to get back into like actually making like videos, but I always fall in the loop of like, I'll write about something and I'll either get too scared, or I'll be like, I'm dogging on this too much, I don't want to do that, and then I'll just scrap it. And that's what happened here. Because Triangle Strategy was like probably the most disappointing game that I played last year. It wasn't my least favorite. That we'll talk about later. But I had such high hopes for it, because it's like, you know, you got the scales of convictions. It was like the decisions you make will alter the paths that you take. And I played the game, and unfortunately, a lot of the decisions just amounted to like, this map is a little different. Like there's like 7 or 8 choices you make in the game, I think, and there's like 10 converging points in the timeline. So like you'll make a choice, and then you'll end up in the same spot regardless of what you chose.
Isn't that the same thing as 3 houses though?
yes and no. It's kind of the
Three houses.
opposite.
Three houses. You really just have one macro choice you make at the beginning, and then
Y-
one of the
yeah,
routes has a macro choice halfway through it.
yeah. It yeah, it's kind of the opposite of three houses in that regard of like there's just the one big choice. Maps are reused a lot in three houses, but the story at least changes and there's like meaningful differences between the routes. They're like entirely different stories. Triangle strategy is a series of what map do you want to do, but you don't know what the map is. Or like sometimes there's like little choices like, oh, do you uh break the lamps so that way at nighttime you can ambush these guys and you start at an advantage, or do you do this and be honest and have a good true fight or whatever. And it was just disappointing because the story didn't really mean a whole lot, and like you have all these party members and you can they have their own convictions. So I was like, okay, the like kind of more political nature of like, no, we should do it this way, we should do it this way, and then trying to convince them of it. But a lot of the time it just amounted to like you walk up to someone and they state their opinion and you say, I disagree, and then they go, huh, you raise a great point, and it's
I
like,
just,
okay,
I
like, are we
disagree. Slap his face.
are we deciding what avenue we're gonna take in this massive like war, or are we going to decide what we're gonna have for dinner? Because like I don't know, because it's handled with that sense of urgency, and it could be that I played the game and stuck to my convictions really well, but like and so I was able to just convince people that much easier because I was sticking to what I believed in and whatever. But it felt so just nothing, especially since again there's like 8 converging points in the story, and the only choice that really matters is the last one, and it's so boring.
It's interesting. I've had it for a while. I have not actually played it yet myself. And like some of the stuff you were describing there, I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Like that scenario with the lamps, that at least sounds like it's fun mechanically.
The gameplay is good. I found it to be very, very, very easy though. I'm talking like there are entire mechanics that I didn't interact with because I didn't have to.
Does it have any difficulty modes, or is it like a flat, like this is what you're playing on?
There are difficulty modes, and I played on I think what was available as the hardest one from the get-go, and it
Gotcha.
like it is an easy game. There one of my friends watched me play a majority of it, and I think what ended up happening was I stumbled into like the way to play the game on accident.
Well, you found like the triangle
Yeah.
strategy.
A triangle strategy. Yeah, and so it's like I just kind of did what I want in the game, and I didn't have to think. There was no strategy. The triangle was meaningless. I will say though, there are like 2 really big moments in the game that gave me an insane amount of hope, and then it was dashed like immediately. But
Damn.
there was like there's one chapter that is like it's 10 out of 10. It's like a solid just 10 out of 10 chapter. The choices actually like this is the one time a choice actually matters and you see the ramifications of it, and you have to live with those ramifications for the rest of the game. And it's like it's so well executed, but that is the only time we see it. It's the only time we see anything on that level, and it is unfortunate. I want a sequel. I want a sequel that does a lot better and makes more has more meaningful decisions.
Did Triangle Strategy like beat its budget in terms of sales?
Probably all the HD2 games have been selling really, really well. I know
Yeah.
Octopath always sells like a healthy amount.
I still need to try those.
Which ones?
Octopath.
I thought the one's pretty good.
I was
It's
watching a
fun.
friend play Octopath 2 recently, and I'm like, that looks like it's kind of fun.
Yeah, but they
It
don't
was
got
really good.
demons now, do they?
No,
Oof.
there's just no soul to them. Everything is
Dang.
HD2D these days.
Amen.
HD2D looks great. It's a little oversaturated. It's a good aesthetic, but it's a great aesthetic. The PlayStation 3 version of Demon's Souls. That's
Actually, I
right.
gotta ask
Oh
about
yeah, you
that.
didn't
Why
play
did
the PS5 version.
I don't got a PS5.
he
Yeah.
didn't have a PS5? Because he played
And
16 on PC.
even if I had the option, I would have played the PS3
What?
version.
What do people not like about the look of the PS5? Is it just not dark enough or something like that?
I'm a bit of a tourist on this discussion, right? Because I have
Mhm.
not played PS5 Demon Souls, and
Yeah.
I heard about the conversation surrounding the aesthetic, like before really spending some time with either, so I have a very colored opinion. I agree with the spirit of the PS3 discussion, so that's kind of the side I find myself on. It's mostly like the PS5 Demon Souls is like a very beautiful game, but it feels like in some places it kind of overcorrects the weirdness of the original and loses some of that. And I
Ah,
think
gotcha.
that's where people really take issue with it, right? And trying to be like a more like traditional fantasy game and kind of losing almost some of the whimsy that was there. Because these games are weird. But yeah, I loved Demon Souls like a lot. Like I really liked that game in a way that I was not expecting to.
Isn't Demon Souls like one of the lesser Souls games in most people's discussions or opinions on?
Maybe, but I don't care. That game was
Yeah,
brutal.
I know. Because all I really know is like Dark Souls 2 is like dead last because I hear no one speak good things about Dark
I
Souls.
love Dark Souls 2. Demon Souls is the only FromSoft game I didn't
Like
finish.
I am about to drop a bit of a hot take.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I think I had more fun with Demon Souls than I did with Bloodborne.
No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no,
Like I
no.
liked Bloodborne, but I don't know, something with Demon Souls just like clicked with me, and maybe it's just that I'm just more familiar with these games where I'm at this point in time, but like I don't know, just it's weird. It's a very gamey game, even compared to like the other Souls titles. Like you basically have a level select. You
That's
go
so
through like
weird.
level 1-1, level 1-2, level 1-3. The bosses are super gimmicky and like do not resemble the modern boss design at all. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're fighting the big giant, hit the back of his heels to knock him over. Kind of like
So it's basically what you're saying is that it gives you the vibe that it's trying to be, I don't want to say trying to be different than other Souls games because this
well,
is the
it's
first Souls
yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah. It just it feels like Demon Souls feels just like a big puzzle that wants you to figure it out, and I love it for that.
Yeah.
Like it, because again, like if you've played Dark Souls 1, the combat is an even more primitive version of that. Like there's some mechanics I don't like in here. There's some things I'm glad to see were removed, but
Isn't there one where like an enemy can kill you from the side around a corner or something like that?
I mean
I can't.
that just sounds like a Souls game. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know
but
what you
like
mean
like
specifically
instantly,
there.
like not like one hit
Like a
and like
sneak
oh
attack?
you lose a bit of health, like no, like an instant kill or something like that.
No, there is a mechanic that is pretty brutal, which is in this game. If you're familiar with Dark Souls 1, the like hollowing and undead, this one has something
Yeah,
similar
yeah,
where
yeah.
there's human and soul form. And if you're in soul form, you're at half health. That's pretty brutal. But very early on, if you explore a bit, you can find a ring that raises that up to 75%. And sort of the original facilitation of that design is the resource to go back to human form was kind of limited. You can find it occasionally. You'll always go back to human form after you beat a boss, or this is where invasions would come in. Now, obviously, I played the PS3 version many years after it came out, so I didn't really get to interact with those systems. There's some other weird stuff where, like, the more you die in a world, the harder it gets.
Really?
Yeah, the world has there's this mechanic called world tendency that I don't think was ever revisited in any of these games, where it's like this meter that just shifts between black and white, and you can do like certain good things will like raise the light tendency, but things like I think specifically it's dying as a human makes things worse, specifically, not dying as a soul. It's a very like weird arcane mechanic, but it's just all this strangeness gives it a flavor that I fuck with really hard.
I played Demon Souls a little bit last year, I believe, or maybe it was the year before. I don't know. But it didn't click with me for like the exact reasons.
I
that
can
Mac
absolutely
really
see
loved
why
it.
it wouldn't click with someone.
Yeah, it was. It also could have just been a mood thing of like, because like yeah, a lot of the bosses were super gimmicky, and there were there were a
think-
couple that I was just like, I don't want to figure this out. I was.
So for me personally, this was the easiest set of bosses in the entire Souls catalog.
That's saying something.
Like
I
I
could see
think
that.
there's maybe like one or two bosses that killed me more than twice.
Think
But the levels I think are a little more punishing here, which is where the sort of balances out.
yeah, I'd agree. I think it's interesting to like look back on having played like every other Souls game and kind of seeing where it started. But yeah, it was unfortunately one of those things that didn't click for me, so I didn't see it through to the end.
And I completely understand. Like I think there is a reason why a lot of these mechanics have been stepped away from, but there's just something cool for it. And I do think I think I do tend to appreciate when I see like the roots of something and kind of like reverse engineering that design. Because DS1 or Demon Souls rather, in every like level, there are no formal like checkpoints, like no bonfires. It's all finding shortcuts. And that was so satisfying to me.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
no, that's
Yeah.
fair.
But yeah, I like Demon Souls.
I don't know if
And I like how many rings were in Demon Souls too.
but none of them were Elden Ring, were they? That was stupid. No,
That was a good
bad.
one.
That was
I think
bad.
that was the best
No,
one
that
yet.
was bad.
That was the best one yet.
Yeah. So I touched Elden Ring a good chunk of it in 2022, but I kind of made the mistake of making that not the mistake actually playing it again, but like the mistake of dropping it after a while because it was too hard. I was still in that phase of like trying to get into other games, so I was trying to like ease my way because a little history. I've never played that many Souls games. I played Bloodborne. That was my second one. I played in 2020, but I also played Dark Souls Remastered on the Switch back when it came out on the Switch. So
Yeah.
Elden Ring, but like it's also just the fact that Elden Ring was just so much more different than what I was used to with Bloodborne and Dark Souls. But I picked it up again this year because the DLC was coming out. But a friend of mine just bought it and was really enjoying it. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll do it again. So and also I just wasn't a big fan of the samurai, not the samurai build, the vagabond build. It's the one with the dual swords, the first part. I'm trying to remember what the name was. It's not Samurai, because Samurai was... But, I picked it up again, but this time, it didn't click yet. That's because... Nick will know what I'm talking about. I am stupid.
I'll let you explain what you did.
So how I play these Souls games, not how I play, but like what I thought of. So when fuck, what's her name? Your maiden, when she tells you about this round table, I'm like, is this just a path to the final boss?
What?
I thought it was a path to the final boss.
Why?
I don't know. Look, the thing that Souls games have taught me, there is no safe place except for a hub. I didn't know the round table was an actual hub.
You hadn't found your hub yet.
Yeah.
No, I want to be clear. What had happened was he was showing me like a bit of like his playthrough because he just picked it back up, and I noticed when he was at a site of grace, I'm like, why is there like an icon on the round table indicating you haven't clicked on that yet? And this was like 2 or 3 major bosses in.
This was after the moon
Renala.
queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Renala.
That's crazy.
No, here's the worst part. It gets worse. I went
Oh.
through the first 2 major bosses and like half of Caelid without upgrading my weapons.
Yeah, I had actually found out, I didn't know this, that apparently you can upgrade your weapons with the giant that you meet outside of Ronnie's, and that's what he was doing because he thought that was the only upgrade source.
That is really
This is
funny.
pre-round table as well, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Like I said, I was stupid. But
That's
after
crazy.
I got help from someone not as dumb as me with these games, then it clicked. It went like as soon as it's like no, it was during that summer as well where I was like going through a rough patch. But like the Elden Ring was like, oh, I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down honestly. Like even after like some sessions with Nick, I would just keep on playing. Like almost immediately after you left one of our sessions, I immediately beat Radon.
Mm-hmm.
God, Radon's so fucking cool. I even did Mikola. Sorry, not Mikola. Millennia.
Millennia. Oh, I love Millennia.
I beat her in 15 tries, and my friends are still in shock. I did that. um, but like, I understand after playing it and like replaying Bloodborne recently that Elden Ring is definitely probably the easiest of the 3 I played because of that extra choice with the openness of Elden Ring. Because with Bloodborne and Dark Souls, you just have a straightforward path. There's parts where you go away from that path, obviously, of course, but with Elden Ring, you can do whatever the fuck you want as soon as you leave that thing. Like you could like go around and explore a bit. You could go to the first major boss. What I did, I fought the tree sentinel until I beat its ass.
Oh yeah, no, I did that too.
I was like, you're my first boss. I'm making sure you die.
I saw his weapon and was like, I am not leaving until I kill you.
You used that thing for like the whole game, right?
Yeah, I used it for the entire game. I literally did not change it out for anything.
I stuck with a dual sword, not katana, dual broadsword setup till I got to the mountaintop of the giants, where I discovered this weapon that used to be very broken when it first came out.
The Rivers of Blood.
Yes, the Rivers of Blood. Rivers of Blood is still pretty good, by the way. I used it for the rest of the game. I do, and I used it to beat Fire Giant in 2 tries. But there's some really cool boss fights. I do feel the spectacle of them. Also, this might just be a me thing. Why is the lore so haphazard in Elden Ring? I've watched like 5-hour-long lore videos, and I'm still like, what the fuck is this lore?
I don't care about the lore in like any of the FromSoft games.
You don't
it's
like world building, so that doesn't affect
like cryptic. Like I don't want to. If I'm playing a game, I want to play a game. I don't want to read. I don't care.
The writing maker doesn't want to.
Yeah,
read.
I hate reading in games. Hope there's no other sections later that we're gonna talk
Look,
about.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna talk about a visual novel that I adore,
And that's something that comes right after it too.
I know, but that also doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, the approach that the Soul series has to story is like a very like love it or hate it. I think
yeah,
people know if they like that kind of storytelling or
Yeah.
not.
I think the bigger problem for me is the fact that you need basically every weapon and item and little piece of armor to understand. Like you need like 5 pieces of. You need 5 things to understand one sentence of the overall story. Like, do I really need to know every fucking whole bless spell to understand what the fucking Elden Beast is? No, you don't need that.
For me, I'm like I want a hook of some kind in terms of like an actual story that has that like gets me invested in the world. I have a very you have to prove yourself to me kind of outlook when it comes to a lot of like with specifically world building.
Yeah.
and like to a bit of a lesser extent, story and characters.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I see that.
Souls games just kind of like they just put everything down, and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
it's up to you. And I think it's good. I think
I
it's
just
bad.
feel like Elden Ring's the messiest it gets from what I played. Cause like Bloodborne, yeah, it's messy, but it's not as messy as Elden Ring. And I think Dark Souls is pretty straightforward for what it is.
I think part of why you see it as messier would be because it's very open and it's just hard. I
There's
think
no
it's
guarantee
very
to when you're
spread
receiving
out.
information or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But,
the sort of thing to me when it comes to that stuff. Is my take is that I'm always playing these games for the gameplay first and foremost.
Yeah.
I see how their approach to world building is this cool thing that like maybe I'll do some reading and try to learn some things, but I'm fine with it just existing on the side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like when the medium tries to tell stories in different ways.
Mhm.
I think that should be encouraged.
But there are things like I can understand, but playing it again, I do understand why this is someone's favorite Souls game. But I did have a few problems with Elden Ring. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me with these ones, but I do think that the leveling, level progression, if you know what I'm talking, if you know what I'm saying, like when you get to the
level curve.
Yeah, the little level curve. I understand where you're coming from when you told me that one, because it was very weird. Like I just went from like near the top where the God of Blasphemy was to the city, the major city where the giant Erd tree is. And I'm just like, why are these enemies like so off to me? And then when you told me that, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. So yeah, it can be a little weird at first. There are some bosses where their hitboxes were a little wonky, but I guess that's just a Souls tradition at this point. Where you just have hitboxes, you're just like, what the fuck is this? Because I've seen that Dark Souls 2 clip before.
Well, I won't get into that.
But here's the biggest problem for me. This is the biggest problem for me. The final boss is garbage.
True.
Like the boss before it, I like it. That is a good boss for testing your reflexes and learning the game.
I disagree. I hate that guy too.
Elden Beast is literally everything I hate in a bad Souls boss.
I wasn't nuts about Elden Beast either, but because I replayed Elden Ring this year, and funny enough, because I basically got to the final boss like literally the day the DLC came out, they in the patch added the ability to summon your horse for the final boss fight.
You told me about that because
That's
I
crazy.
played it a little bit after the DLC came out. I think I finished it in like July. But here's my thing though. I feel like with the horse it's harder.
I still don't love that fight. Well, I mean, I feel with the horse the best approach is to like kind of get on and off it. You have to kind of know.
I just don't think that's fun.
But I find that at least makes some of its like big screen nukes a little bit more manageable.
Yeah. But like the screen nukes I can take it or leave. Like some of those I learned how to dodge because practice makes perfect. But like I just find it easier to just run to my giant opponent because that'll at least give me a chance to like learn how to dodge it more so than just going on the horse and just constantly getting on and off and on and off. But it's just a giant monster that just runs away from you most of the time, so you won't have a chance to get hits on it. And when you do get a chance to hit on it, it'll do a screen nuke attack or attack that you can barely dodge, and it's really fucking annoying.
I just didn't like running back and forth to him. It was just kind of boring. But with the horse, I could see that probably being like actually like a fun fight.
Even with the horse, I think it still has the problem of it just helps mitigate it a bit, but it's both kind of boring, and while its attacks aren't the hardest in the world to dodge, they just do so much freaking damage if you do get hit, which it is the final boss, so I get it for that, but definitely not my favorite final boss in the series by any stretch.
But believe me, we'll talk about it next session, Caleb. But It gets worse from there. Don't worry, but we'll talk about that the next session.
Oh.
But no.
I just,
After
since I won't be in that one, I just want to make it clear to the world. I beat that boss before they nerfed it. Shadowbeard 3 final
when did
boss.
when did they nerf it again?
Just throwing that out there. That's
What-
all I want to say.
Just a
Did I-
month after.
I played it before it got nerfed as well, I think. Because I know they released a patch that made the first phase's attacks more manageable.
Oh, the first phase wasn't even the problem.
It was the one after that.
Yeah.
But no.
First phase is easy.
After I beat Elden Ring, I was like, man, what game do I play now? Because I've just been so Elden Ring cord after beating Elden Beast, and DLC came out and I played that. But yeah, I understand where Elden Ring could be someone's favorite. I think it's my second favorite at the moment. I still prefer Bloodborne because of the whole parry system of that one and the atmosphere. You cannot go wrong with Gothic horror, honestly.
Elden Ring, Smelden Ring.
Don't you like
That's
Elden
all I've
Ring?
got to say. Yeah, I love Elden Ring.
But there's something about Elden Ring. My companion wasn't part of the army, you could say, or something like that. Fuck it. Metal Gear Solid.
That was a great one. Best,
so
so far.
I originally played 2 and 3, but I didn't talk about 1 last year, so I thought I could quickly mention 1. Metal Gear Solid 1 was pretty good. I
love Metal Gear Solid 1.
I want to love it, but I feel like it falls apart gameplay-wise in the second disc. Where you have to do like the backtracking between the Metal Gear and the previous areas, it just gets really annoying. There's some of that first game syndrome to Metal Gear Solid 1 as well, I felt. And there were some bosses I just didn't like in Metal Gear Solid 1. But I do think the core of Metal Gear Solid 1 is really good for a first attempt. And that story hit me harder than it should, honestly.
I think, just to give some quick thoughts I have on MGS1, I think part of it is the same effect for me as Demon Souls was, where I played the first 4 Metal Gear Solid games in like a buck wild order. I played 4, 2, 3, 1.
No.
And something about just like finally getting to Metal Gear Solid 1 after like seeing everything it became was just like, I don't know, there's just something real cool about that game, and I really appreciate its approach to like level design and gameplay.
What's the worst play order so I can do that when I go
4
through the Metal Gear
first is
series?
definitely the worst.
Okay.
No. You play Rising first because it's so detached gameplay-wise and story-wise from the others. Then you play backwards.
Rising into 4.
Okay.
Then 2, 1.
Then you play Metal Gear Acid for the PSP.
Oh no!
What? I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's like a strategy RPG, but your attacks are cards.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, no one's ever heard of these games. I've never played them, but I read about them in like GamePro.
Oh no! I think I need to play them.
There's
now.
2 of them.
There's 2. No.
Then you
you're
play Metal
lying.
Gear Solid Ghost Babel for the Game Boy Color.
Oh my god! I heard of that one.
Then you play Metal Gear Portable Ops. That one's no longer canon.
And then I
Really?
played Death Stranding.
Really?
Yeah,
I always thought Portable Ops was canon.
it was, and then it wasn't.
Is it because of 5?
I think it's just there's just like, we don't care about any.
I know
of that
Peace
stuff.
Walker's canon.
Yeah. But yeah, I like MGS1. It's cool.
I can understand it, but I just feel like some of the gameplay things just kept it back for me personally. And sadly, Metal Gear Solid 2. It fixed most of it. Metal Gear Solid 2, I tried playing last year. I did the tanker not the tanker, it's the boat with Snake.
That's the tanker.
Yeah, tanker. Sorry, I'm thinking of... Sorry.
The next one's the plant.
Yeah, I did the tanker section. Well, our coach is not here at the moment. Protector, watched me with Luna back when we were in that friend group, and that was a reveal I'll never forget. And then I just stopped. I don't know why, though. That's probably because 2023 was the worst year of my life. But I picked it up again recently, in the summer. Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of the best stories I've seen in a game, honestly. It's just its themes are like so poignant, and they still like they still resonate to this day because it's timeless. That's the best way to describe it. It is a timeless theme and story. Like all its themes can still be applied to the modern day. That's what I love about it. Like AI, legacy, leaving behind your mark. Like it, perfect. It's perfect.
Actually don't know if I agree with the idea of timeless, but I think that's what makes it so fascinating. Is that a lot of the conflicts in it are so contemporary. For frame of reference, Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of my personal favorite games of all time.
I wouldn't go that far.
It is my favorite Metal Gear personally. I know a lot of people prefer the one that comes after it.
The gameplay though, I really like the gameplay. It's not. It's a more refined Metal Gear Solid 1 in terms of gameplay. I'm not gonna say it's perfect because the Emma crossing the bridge section. Jesus Christ. Do you know how long that took me, Nick, when I played it? It took me an hour.
I don't. I'm trying to think back because I played through MGTS 2 twice. I played through it the PS2 version when I was like 11 maybe, and then I played through it. I was probably a little older. I was probably like 12 or 13, and then I played it on the PS3 collection. Like I replayed it.
It's where Emma has to cross through.
I know what part you're talking about. I just don't remember it taking me that long.
The reason why it took me that long because I didn't know I had to use thermal goggles to see more precisely where the fucking mines were. Like I was doing the pill and everything because you have to snipe the mines and the drones, but I didn't know I could use thermal goggles while using the sniper.
Well, that's one of the things I kind of love about Metal Gear is it does, like, you get all these, like, items that are essentially one-off items that you never have to use again. And then they're just, like, they do have, like, just a ton of applications, and I'm almost never smart enough to figure them out on my own. But then I'll see, like, a video of, like, someone using them, I'm like, oh, I wish I was smart. That's cool.
The only reason why I knew I could use thermal goggles because my friend Ron was watching me play at the time, and he told me about it. I'm like, why did I not know that?
But that's the thing. I like the how much those games reward you for like experimenting with your tools. I think that's very cool.
But I would say Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite Metal Gear Solid game, but I played 3 as well, and I am not gonna sugarcoat this. Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the best games I've ever played. It is like 7 in the top 10. It is that high. I click with the gameplay more with 3, probably because it's in third person and not a fixed camera. You can still have the fixed camera because I played the subsistence version. And you just have to click the stick to do it. And there are moments where it's helpful, but I think I just preferred third person in general. The shooting is about the same, but what I love the most about 3 is the attention to detail in that game. Like, it is, for a PS2 game, it is impressive as hell. I didn't do the end strat, if you're wondering. With the old man, where you could just fast forward the system to kill him.
Yeah. Minor spoilers, but Caleb, for reference, there's a boss in Metal Gear Solid 3 where if you just quit the game and like set your console clock to like a week later, he just dies.
So funny.
It's cool.
There's also like a cutscene where he appears like earlier in the game, and if you're fast enough, you can just snipe him, and he never shows up.
I know what part you're talking about. I didn't do it though. Because with 3, I wanted to try to be as pacifist as possible. Because though that didn't work out long run because of the one of the bosses, but yeah, you could do that. You can you could kill a guard, get the bird to eat the guard, kill the bird, eat the bird, and then when you get to the arguably the most iconic section of that game, a ghost of the guard will show up and say, "You ate me." I am not joking. Like, that is like, oh my god, it's so well thought out. Part of me, when I played that game, I was like, is Kojima on drugs? Is Kojima like the smartest man alive? Because this is brilliant. Like, all that attention to detail. I didn't like the story as much as 2, but I still think 3 has one of the best stories I've played in a game. It has the best ending to a game I've ever played. Like learning more about the main villain of 3 and like how she was like this and that. I don't want to say much because I know you haven't played it, Caleb. But it was just like it's probably the Metal Gear game that made me cry the hardest. And also Eva is hot as fuck. But no, Metal Gear Solid 3, phenomenal game. I understand why you like 2 more, Nick, because I've also talked to people who like 2 more. I get it. But I just think gameplay wise, 3 is my favorite. And the story doesn't falter. The story doesn't hold up as well as 2, but I still think 3 still stands on its own very highly.
Part of it, I do think I actually need to revisit 3, because one of my sticking points of why I didn't like it as much is I just remember, and this is, I know, is like a take that almost no one agrees with, but I didn't like the controls as much in 3.
Really?
Just something about it didn't click with me, and also because I was young and kind of bad at it, that meant I was spending more time in... Because 3 has that thing where when you take damage, like, specific parts of your body get hurt, and you have to go into that...
Yeah, and you have to, like, bandage it or scalp it.
So, because I was young and stupid and bad at it, I would go into that menu a lot, and just having to constantly go back in there and fix the injuries just made me get really frustrated with that system. Even though I get it's supposed to be like this kind of like immersive, like, well, maybe you reconsider your gameplay and don't be getting hurt so much, idiot. But yeah, I might
definitely
go
think
back to
that's
it
one where you have to replay it to like
at
truly
some point.
understand more of it. Yeah, Metal Gear
And
Solid 3 is
maybe-
also not that long either. It took me like 10 hours to beat it in all my first playthrough.
I also might see what people are saying about Delta when that comes out, because I need
Oh
to play
boy,
that.
I'm praying to God that's good.
Start with that one.
That's actually a fine starting point.
Yeah, that is a fine start because 3 is the
Yeah.
Metal
first.
Gear Solid 3 is a good place to start, so
Yeah,
don't
'cause
start with that
3
one.
is the first in the
Okay.
3 is the first game in the timeline. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3, one of the best games I've ever played and easily one of my favorites. I love it so much. But Snake didn't go through some trials, did he?
Yeah, well, he's not much of a wizard, so he didn't have any. Trials of Mana. I wanted to love this game,
Wait,
man.
quick question. Did you play the remake or the SNES version?
I played the remake.
Oh, I heard things about that one.
I wanted to love this game. It looked like it was right up my alley. It was okay. It was just so okay. Like, aggressively okay.
I want to know how they were able to get 3 players on an SNES cartridge.
I mean, they did that in Secret of Mana, too. They basically, I know Secret of Mana came with a multi-tap, so you would plug that in, and then you plug another controller
Well, like,
into it.
even then, it was like, because Secret of Mana was also on the SNES Classic, so I'm like, how'd you do that?
But you just couldn't do 3-player on the SNES Classic.
I guess.
You just could do 2-player. I'm gonna keep my thoughts on this one brief. It was way too easy. This is another one of those games where like you don't unlock higher difficulties until you beat it. And you know that stuff I was talking about with 16's action combat. I have like similar frustrations here where I just feel like the amount of things the characters could do felt really limited. So I felt like the game was a little long given what was available in it, and this is a game with like no side content. So
it's all story.
yeah, no skipping that. The English performance in this game were awful. I don't get. I think this game was dubbed during the pandemic, which might explain it. But like, I don't know what they were going for at first, because I thought they were doing like intentionally kind of like hammy, but it just was not good. I didn't find it charming, I just found it bad. Sorry, you go, Caleb?
Is it the voice acting itself, or is it like
It's the direction.
recording quality, or
No, it's definitely the voice acting. Like, the recording
Okay.
sounds fine. It's just... I just don't get it. Like I almost feel like... Because it's so across the board, it felt like it was an intentional decision. But it's just... You'd have to hear it to like understand what I'm talking about. But like,
Okay.
because I generally like, when given a choice, I'll play most games dubbed because I prioritize being able to like hear what the characters are saying in the heat of the moment more.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, voice acting is like hardly the biggest thing. It's just I don't know. It was just a little too repetitive at times for my tastes. I did like the whole like you get to pick like so the game gives you like 6 characters and you pick 3 of them at the start, and that whoever you pick as your lead is effectively like a route split.
Hmm.
That only I think really comes into effect in like the final dungeon and final boss. But there were times I had fun with it. It just I don't know. I might play the SNES version at some point because I think maybe I'd get a little bit more out of that. Maybe like the retro style, and it might just go a
Trials
little
of Mana,
faster.
I've seen footage of it on SNES. It's probably one of the best looking SNES games I've seen. So you'll probably get more out of it. Because I do think
Yeah.
SNES games have their charm to them.
I almost this is one of those where like I was like gonna pick it up. I'd like looked at some stuff. I'm like, this looks really up my alley. I'm excited to play this, and I just walked away a little like, eh. But you know, at least I picked up something good earlier in
Oh.
the year.
Yeah.
Because if we want to talk about so there were like 2 games last year that when I played them for the first time, I was like, whoa, I loved this way more than I thought I would. Demon Souls is one of them. But the other was the first Pikmin.
I'm going to join you in on a bit of this one. Because I played Pikmin 1
Yeah.
again recently after playing it for the first time last year.
I never really got into RTSs. That was like a genre that was always kind of outside my purview. And I'm thinking that was a mistake not getting into
I think like the thing with me with RTS is mostly that it's scary.
It's scary.
The reason why I didn't pick up Pikmin 1 till like last year into this year was I was afraid. Like I understand that's the point, but like I get easily terrified. But like the whole idea of like I have 30 days to like basically get off this planet, and like the idea that I'm probably gonna like kill everyone just like terrified the shit out of me.
Okay, but Pikmin 1 rules. All right.
Pikmin 1's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, Pikmin 1's
I-
really good.
Just oh man, dude, this was this game loop I clicked with instantly. I'm like, all right, hold up, all right. And at first playing a little slow. I did very good. I did finish it on my first run, although I may have reloaded my file the first time I fought the final boss, and he absolutely slaughtered me.
I don't blame you because I don't like that final boss.
That final boss is like definitely a bit of a spike compared to the rest of the game. I didn't use any reloads anywhere else. I accepted things as they came. I had a couple like bad days in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just like I don't know, this is just one of those like games where I felt like everything in it just felt right. It's almost hard to put into words of just all the different mechanics coming together, and just like I never finished it, but I did a second playthrough. I had to take like a train ride at one point, so I just was like, all right, I'm gonna play it on the way to and back and see like how far I can get. And so like I think I was on like day 15 with like 20 something parts. That felt so good.
Dang.
Second playthrough.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
just
nice.
like getting that sense of like, ooh, just scratching that like multitasking itch. I really want to play the other ones because they've been sitting. I've got Pikmin 2. It's been sitting there.
I've played Pikmin 2 in the past. It is very different from Pikmin 1.
I'm aware, but I'm excited to try.
But I like Pikmin 1, I really do, but I feel like what keeps me from loving it is the AI for the Pikmin can be really stupid at times.
They're
Like-
a little silly.
That's
yeah.
what makes it kind of funny.
I mean, that's what makes it kind of fun, yeah, but like when I have like the yellows near water because of that one item in the water area, we have to like get yellows to that area to get the item on top. and they just walk through the water. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, like that can definitely be brutal, but I just, I don't know. For me, I just accepted like, all right, I just have to play carefully.
But like
Yeah.
the other ones that like I thought bosses, aside from the final one, were like pathetically easy. Like
I think they're meant to be kind of on the easier side, but they have the capability to like be
Yeah,
devastating.
because
Yeah.
they still have like Pikmin wipes. They just they are easy. I don't know. Bosses are just they were just another part of the multitasking flow. So I found like approaching them optimally was satisfying.
Yeah, I've played a bit of Pikmin 3, and it didn't really stick for me. I need to get back into
I
it.
played most of
Um,
Pikmin 3. I got to the final area, but didn't finish the final area when I was a
Did
kid.
you play the first two?
I played 1 and 2. I think not last year, year before.
Mm-hmm.
I really love the first one a lot. It's my favorite that I've played so far. Yeah,
I know
two
Two is a
good.
love it or hate it game.
Yeah.
It was good. I liked it a fair bit less than the first one, but for 3, I was gonna say like the bosses in that game are a bit more. They have a bit more going on with them, and you got to kind of engage your brain a little more. But they don't feel like anywhere near as tense. Because like Pikmin 1, I'm like okay, yeah, this is going pretty easy. But there's just a chance something's going to explode.
That's part of what I love about Pikmin 1 so much is
That's
like
what terrifies
yeah.
me.
I'm gonna be real, obviously I played this game as an adult, right? Like it's not really that hard of a game, if I'm being completely honest. But it's just there's that capacity for punishment in the game that is so interesting to me. And the fact that like even a full 30-day playthrough, that's like maybe 5 or 6 hours. Like this game is not a huge commitment, which is what I appreciate.
Yeah, I think the first game really nails the feeling of the unknown,
Yes.
and I think 2 suffers inherently because it's a sequel.
I know 2 has the thing where it doesn't really have a time limit. It's more so like go at your own pace than 1.
I'm interested to get to 2 just because from what I know, it is a sequel where it's like, all right, we are using the same engine, but we're just gonna do something different. And
The structure is different.
Whether you like that or not is gonna be based on whoever you are. Because for a while, I remember Pikmin 2 was like the fan favorite for years, and then very recently, I've seen like a sort of wave against it, and it seems like now it's kind of more split on whether people prefer the Pikmin 1 or 3 style versus the Pikmin 2 or 4 style. I think that's cool. That having not played them yet, but just the idea that the series has these 2 gameplay styles that kind of flip flops between.
This might just be a me thing. I think I'm more of a Pikmin 3 person because I played a good chunk of Pikmin 3, and I just think Pikmin 3 has a good blend of not being too overbearing for newcomers, but it's also not incredibly easy.
I mean, at the end of the day, like no one wants to lawyer someone on how to play Pikmin.
True. Yeah. I mean, it's not like that one fan base that criticized you for doing that one build, despite you wanting to do that one build.
No,
I'm
you're not playing the game the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only correct build is to press every statement.
So, should I get into why I developed an addiction with this series?
You're preaching to the choir right now.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I've been playing Ace Attorney consistently for the last like 3.5 years, like a week at a time. I play like a little bit. So so
I've been playing Ace Attorney for like 9 months now, and I'm just about near the end of the main series.
I've been playing Ace Attorney for 13 years, maybe.
God, you were there since fucking Dual Destinies. Okay, so
crazy.
for this discussion,
that game was new when I played it.
God.
And you only
set the stage for you guys.
Okay,
You only
so
experienced
for
one
this
more.
discussion, if you want to, Caleb, we can talk about up to investigations too if you want. If not, we could just save that for next year.
I want to say some funny things about investigations.
Okay, we could just do it. We could just put up an
take the
investigations
job.
too. Then I don't mind. Okay, so I got into Ace Attorney because I am in this server, you can say, filled with Ace Attorney nerds. And there was a chat where it's just Ace Attorney, Ace Attorney, Ace Attorney. That's what got me interested to try it, as well as the fact that I played Dual Destinies, the demo, as a kid. But then I told one of my friends that I haven't played Ace Attorney before. He gifted me Ace Attorney, the first Ace Attorney trilogy. I beat the first Ace Attorney trilogy in about 2 weeks. And that's when the addiction started.
Can I just jump in real quick and talk about how great it is that we're in a timeline right now where this series is so easy to get into?
Literally, we
Right?
got almost every game on modern platforms.
Every great game franchise should be this easy to just be like, all right, I want to play it. Okay, almost everything is available on any platform of choice. Just go.
It's so weird how the Mother 3 of Ace Attorney is no longer the Mother 3 of Ace Attorney.
Oh yeah, no, Investigations 2 is now just a game that exists in the world.
Yeah. The only game we're missing is the crossover.
Only game you guys are missing.
What do
I
you
have
played
it on my
the crossover?
3DS.
Yes, I've been.
What?
I didn't know
Again,
the only reason why I'm not playing it immediately is because I want to play some Layton games.
I played all of Layton before I played the crossover. I did my homework.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I love Layton too, but that's a different discussion.
Because I seen the aftermarket for Layton v Ace Attorney, and it's fucking insane.
That is an interesting game, but now is not the time to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Okay, so I'll go through the trilogy, and then me and Caleb can talk about investigations. Okay. Ace Attorney 1. I see this game on the lower end of most people's rankings. I think Ace Attorney 1 is probably the most slept on Ace Attorney game, if I'm going to be honest.
It's close to the middle for me. I love it.
It doesn't have a bad episode for me. I liked all the episodes. Sure, you could say episodes 1-2 and 1-1 and 1-2 are pretty weak, but they get the job done for what they are, I'd say. They set up the characters, they set up the main plot line of the trilogy. It works very well as first cases, and they work well as tutorials as well.
I think people are too mean to 1-2 these days. I think that case does so much to set up the entire main cast.
Yeah. You get to see Miles Edgeworth, Mia, more Mia, Maya, give me more of that.
Well, you see both more and less of Mia.
Before I played the Investigations 2, 1-3 was my favorite episode 3 of the 3s. Which is saying something because most of the time the 3s are bad. I really liked how Ace Attorney 1 ends as well. It all comes full circle in episode 4 with Edgeworth and the main villain, quote unquote, in the game.
I would kiss Edgeworth on the lips if given the opportunity.
But this is probably gonna be a hot take. Rise from the Ashes is my favorite episode from Ace Attorney 1.
Crazy. Wild.
What's wrong with that?
I love
Worst
Rise
case
from the
in
Ashes.
Trilogy. Oh,
Rise
I'm
from the-
outnumbered.
I do agree its biggest issue is its pacing.
Yes.
But I don't know. I just think there's something cool in how it's basically an entire Ace Attorney game boiled into one case, which is maybe too much for a case. I will agree. I think the way that conspiracy plays out, and I think the villain of Case 1-5.
Oh, the villain in Rise from the Ashes is great.
That's valid. I can get behind that.
And I'm gonna say it, Caleb.
Uh-oh.
I think Emma Sky's great.
Okay.
No, I need to hear Emma Sky take. I need to hear it. I need to hear it.
She is fine in Rise from the Ashes. I hate her in it.
No. I think Emma
Everything
Sky
else.
is great in all of them.
You played Apollo Justice, really?
I love her in that game.
You are
She's
insane.
funny in
You're
Apollo
insane.
Justice.
She's a horrible little girl fail in that game, and she's great.
We're Marcel fans, so we like girl fail.
She's pathetic and mean.
I love.
That's the charm.
Caleb, you're talking to someone whose favorite fictional character is Beatrice Umineko.
Okay, that's.
Do you think pathetic and mean has any bearing on whether I like a character?
Okay, but like, don't get me wrong. I love a pathetic and mean character from time to time. Duvalie is like.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about Duvalie later. She's so good.
And I love her, but like, she's not annoying. And I think in Apollo Justice, Emma Skye really like she has her one bit, and that's all. That's all.
That bit is good though.
Oh, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I'm gonna throw a bag of chips at you.
We're trying far away from this, but like right from the ashes, I understand the pacing is not as good, is not what it should be normally, because I do think the 3 days thing is very, very. It gets me tired more than the others. But that story is phenomenal. I love it. And also the DS gimmicks. I love the DS gimmicks and the DS Ace Attorney games. Justice for All. Once upon a time, I said this was my least favorite Ace Attorney game, and it's still on the lower end for me. I think the 2-1 is not bad, but god damn it, I hate amnesia plots. And this is one of the worst ones, I'd say.
So I particularly dislike 2-1, but that is because of my experience with Ace Attorney. So I played the first game back when it was released on the iOS by itself, which is now like lost media. I don't think that port exists anymore.
What about the Wii version? That doesn't exist anymore.
Well, yeah, but that's all the Wii Virtual Console. But let me see if I can get the time difference, because I did not come back to Ace Attorney until they did the trilogy release on the iOS. So I think there was like a good 3 or 4 years in between when I played Ace Attorney 1 and Ace Attorney 2. So I was so excited to jump back in, and just getting hit with that amnesia case right at the start. Something about that just really annoyed me. And a way that's hard to put into words.
It's the way the first case starts in that game is pretty bananas.
It's so stupid. It's
I think you'll find it was a baseball glove.
I understand. I understand you need to make a tutorial, but it's you could have done it in a different way than amnesia.
I think almost every other game in the series nails doing it much better than that one does.
Yes, definitely. Having played almost to the end of the mainline games. Then we get to 2-2. 2-2 is one of my favorites. The whole oh, was it Maya who actually did this? It's the mystery stays till the end, and I love it. It gives us the Magatama. I really like the Magatama. It's basically court gameplay, but in an investigation setting, which really mixes it up more so than the first game, where it was just click on the talk button and then talk about this thing and whoever the fuck.
I like the Magatama a lot in the original trilogy. I find the ways they use it in the later games are kind of weaker.
Did they use it in Dual Destinies: The Spirit of Justice?
Phoenix is on the cover of those games, you tell me. But that mostly goes into how those games structure their investigation sections a bit more.
Then we get the 2-3. I despise 2-3.
Which one's that one? Oh, is that
Circus?
Oh,
Circus.
That one has a pretty glaring flaw, but I think it's pretty funny otherwise.
I think the only thing I need to say is the love triangle makes me feel like I need to take 10 showers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2-3 is one of those ones for me where it's not a great case, and there is the elephant in the room, right? With all
the
that.
elephant.
But I think it does have couple things going for it. It's also, tragically the last time we ever have a case that's headed by Franziska start to finish.
The mystery's there.
Poor girl has 2 full cases to her name.
The mystery is there, but the reveal is so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I think it could have been done better, but I do think it is I think it's necessary for the themes of Justice for All to work.
Yeah, which thankfully 2-4 is my second favorite episode in the series so far. It is. I could see why someone would say it's their favorite. It is phenomenal.
Oh, it's
the,
peak.
Oh yeah. And also give my boy Gumshoe, best boy by the way, something be the useful mofo he is, and I love him. But like it took 1-4 and gave it stakes. Like stakes higher than they ever been before.
I mean, 1-4 definitely had stakes.
Yeah, what had stakes?
Edgar's going to jail.
Yes.
That has tension. But Maya being kidnapped and most likely dying, that's peak trauma.
What makes, I think, 2-4 like so particularly effective is it's like the first real moral challenge that Phoenix ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go with his heart or go with the law.
He's like absolutely like doing the wrong thing, but it's for Maya.
Yeah.
We don't want Maya to die because she's a funny little goober.
Yeah.
I love the ending as well, where we see Francisca take the card with the picture of Phoenix on it. It was so sweet. It also humanized Francisca a lot more.
Yeah, Francisca is a character that, like, when I first played Ace Attorney, I did not care about, and over the years, I've really grown to appreciate.
Yeah,
Her.
I
still
get
ranked
that.
pretty low on my Prosecutor pecking order, but just as a character, I like her.
But I wanted to play Trials and Tribulations, but if you know, I know you two know this, but it was during that trip. I was like, man, I want to play Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah, you wanted to play Peak, I get it.
Yeah, and then immediately when we got back the next day, Trials and Tribulations. Trials and Tribulations is personally my favorite Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney game so far.
It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Hmm?
It's one of my favorite games of all time.
It's not like top 25, but it's on the list for me. I really like the introduction case. It also does a really good job of setting up what to expect from future cases. Also, I like Mia a lot.
Yeah, it's cool.
Then we got 3-2. 3-2 was great. I love Luke Atme. He is a really well done villain. Probably one of my favorite villains in the series so far. And also Godot. They gave us Godot. I don't drink coffee, but I'll drink his cup of coffee any day.
I think his introduction is the single funniest prosecutor.
Yeah, Godot has like a nice balance of being funny and also like, oh, he's taking this seriously. Then we get to 3-3. The Justice for All case that got into that game for some reason or another.
They wanted a fifth case.
I've coined the term "made this while drunk" energy because of that episode.
Wait, what was the thing that you said, Caleb?
Oh, I said they wanted to have a fifth case in the game.
Yeah.
So they just took the...
I get that, but it's like, why 3-3?
I am a 3-3 apologizer. I think that case is funny.
I think it's funny.
It's okay, but I feel like it's too. I feel like the comedy gets in the way of the drama, though.
It is like my litmus test of like how okay I am with like silly cases is like 3-3 is the edge of that, and then Investigations 1 case 3 is where you've now pushed it over for me.
Oh, we'll get there. But yeah, no, 3-3. Not a big fan of it. It's okay. It works. I just prefer a more dramatic story than a more comedic Ace Attorney story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then we get to I call it the 2-part finale because 3-4 is really short. I know people love 2-4, but 3-5 is my favorite episode of the entire series so far. It all comes full circle. It all comes full circle. It's the most dramatic. It's also the funniest. Me and my friends quote he's at the bottom of the humanities. Edgeworth and Francisca's court, that first day of court, and it's just Edgeworth and Francisca, the most I've ever laughed. Like, there's just so many good jabs at Larry that just get me to, like, die on the floor. And then when you finally get to Phoenix, and, like, you get to the fight, like, when it all starts to get, like, even more convoluted, of, like, oh, she's alive, but no, she's actually dead, but she looks like him, like, all that stuff. I was like, I was glued to my chair. I normally don't do, like, post 6 hour long episodes in one sitting. Bridge to the Turnabout was the exception. Like, I was just glued in, and I was like, I need to see this to the end. And the reveal at the end got me to be like, damn, I like you more, Godot. And I also like how it all comes full circle with the Fae clan and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know people say the OG trilogy is not as good as the Investigations duology.
Insane.
But I think
No, people don't say that. That's insane. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
People,
I have never heard that.
Yeah, people say that Investigations 2 is the best game in the series, but, like, no.
I've
When
seen
you
I've only ever heard, the only thing I ever hear is people put Great Ace Attorney above the trilogy. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I've heard that. Which I think is crazy.
But, like, I really enjoyed the overall original trilogy. It is not the most consistent so far. None of these collections I've played so far are, but I really enjoyed what I play, and I think that
it's funny you should say that. I think it's by far the most consistent era of Ace Attorney.
I think I found Great Ace Attorney to be pretty consistent, but for me it was a negative experience.
We can save that. I like Great Ace Attorney.
We can save that for next year when I eventually get to those. But yeah, I really enjoyed what I played, and then immediately after that, I got gifted the Investigations duology. And Caleb, you have some things to say about Investigations 1 I do not agree with.
First game sucks. I hate it.
No.
That's all I
No,
gotta
hold
say.
on. He's actually kind of cooking with this.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
that's
Let's go into that.
Okay. So I played this game very recently. I finished it back in, like, I don't know, November, December. I barely remember anything that happens in that game because everything feels so inconsequential. Edgeworth is not a character. He just investigates, and that's all. Like, I know it's called Investigations, but he's missing that Edgeworth swagger, you know? Lang exists. We got Kay's pretty funny.
Kay,
Yeah, like, that's all I really got to say about the characters.
My problem with Kay is that she comes in way too late.
Yeah, the first two cases really just feel almost unnecessary. Like, I don't know why it took so long to introduce a majority of the cast.
Yeah, case 2 in particular is like a hard one.
Case 2, I originally
in there.
I didn't like Case 2 at first because it felt unnecessary. But after Investigations 2, I was like, okay, I'm looking more favorably upon you now. But really, Investigations that one? I thought that was a really good tutorial case.
I don't think there's a good case in Investigations.
Not even 4?
I don't remember that one, so no.
The one where you
what
first learn about K. You learn about K. You learn more about the Simurgarasu.
So the one thing I remember about that case is if you investigate the vending machine with Edgeworth, you get some fun Edgeworth and Francisca banter about their favorite snacks from the vending machine. That's cute. That's the best part of the case.
Not even the reveal at the end.
I don't know. It was okay. Like, I don't know.
I think,
I was so disillusioned by the overarching narrative of Investigations because it felt like it was just dragging on and on and on, and then they're like, oh, Yadagarasu, and I was like, oh wow.
That was my problem with the final case, actually.
My biggest issue with the first Investigations is that it is also just the most forgettable game in the series for me. So this is where I just don't remember a lot of it, and I think that's a testament to it, which is why I have considered replaying it in the Investigations collection, because I think it's been long enough. Like, for frame of reference, I played this game the year I graduated from high school.
I don't know when you graduated from high school.
A long time ago.
A long
Okay.
time ago.
A long time ago. Well, the game came out in 2009, so that should give me a good frame of reference.
I didn't play it at release. I'll say that much.
Okay.
Like Dual Destinies was already out when I played it. It was like 2013, 14 when I played it.
I know Investigations 1 got the worldwide release and not 2.
Yeah, I think it's just 'cause one I don't think sold so good.
No,
I will say
it's
this.
very forgettable.
There is
I played
one.
it recently.
There is one episode I did not like from Investigations, and that was the
Only
third
one?
one. I did
That
not
one's
like.
so bad.
That's potentially my least favorite case.
It's down there with 2-3 for me. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, God, why? The plan was so stupid, and the best way to describe Investigations 1 for me, it is the poster child for me of missed potential.
I just thought everyone was really annoying in that case.
Yeah.
What about
That's all I
Gumshoe?
remember.
Gumshoe.
I don't remember him doing. I mean, that was the case where Kay gets introduced, so Gumshoe probably.
Yeah, and she gets introduced way too fucking late for me to care
Yeah.
about her.
Gumshoe shows up for like 2 seconds, and Lang's like, "Gumshoe, do other stuff,"
No,
and he leaves for the
You know,
entire game.
Actually, you know what I do remember about 1-3? I remember Emma showing up. I'm like, oh, it's Emma. She's got like a cute hat, and then like Larry and like Oldback come and like push her to the side, and then you never see her again.
Oh,
Really?
and the stupid little thief mechanic is so bad. They did an awful way of like showing what's going on. Cause like, oh, just put in the information, we'll create a simulation of what's going on. And I'm like, how do we know any of this is actually like accurate? And then lo and behold, that's the whole gimmick of like, oh, we have more details. Let's put that. And it sucks. It's so. It's a slog to get through. It's so boring. And that's the entire game. The entire game is it is so nothing. I have nothing to say. It's
yeah, Emma shows up for like 2 seconds. The one episode that almost reached like C tier for me was 1-5. Sorry, not 1-5. Investigations -5. Holy shit, I wanted to kill myself during that final rebuttal sequence.
Sounds like you don't have extraterritorial rights.
After I finished that game, one of my friends just constantly sent me those memes.
Can you just have like if in the YouTube video just like a picture of like Alba on the screen, like just like there, like looking smug, like shining his badges.
Since not here, we'll just have Alba there instead.
Yeah,
Alba on the corner.
Yeah, for the entire video.
I love Alba. He sucks.
Alba's cool, but my problem is that the final rebuttals are played out so fucking long. I think it took me like 2 hours to do the entirety of the final section. Jesus Christ. Also, the fact like Larry and Oldbag come back and they like come out in like the most inappropriate times, like y'all are like making this case worse for me. You are not helping whatsoever.
I just remember them being so annoying in that game.
Apparently, Oldbag is really popular in Japan, and that's why she like.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
major role.
Clearly, something they have to like love. I thought Oldbag is like a fine character in 1-3. I think she works well in there.
And she shows up in 2-4.
Progressively more annoying with every appearance.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm afraid of one of the DLCs for one of the games. I think you know what I'm talking.
Yeah, who shows up in that?
But Investigations 1, I didn't hate it, but it is easily the weakest Ace Attorney game for me. But then I played Investigations 2, and I'm just gonna say it. Investigations 2. I am gonna say Trials and Tribulations is still my favorite, but I think Investigations 2 is the best Ace Attorney game I played so far.
I think it's the most middle of the road one.
Get out.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say.
I like 2 a lot, but it is another one that is.
I like my favorite thing straight out of the gate is how Edgeworth is actually like meaningful to the plot of Investigations 2. Like it actually goes into like his morality of like, do I want to go down the prosecutor's path? Like that is interesting.
Prosecutor's path.
Well,
or you can say
now it's
prosecutor's gambit.
Yeah, I like it because like the way I would describe both of them is that like Ace Attorney Investigations 1, it does not feel like a story that needed to be told with Edgeworth, or even really a story that needed to be told. Investigations 2 is reasonably like something that was on the table following the original trilogy. The idea of, like, okay, you know, Edgeworth originally when he was younger wanted to be a defense attorney, and then was sort of like, for lack of a better word, groomed into being a prosecutor.
Yeah.
So to sort of like,
You're not wrong.
to like go and like actually like investigate that and have him both falter but ultimately come out with an even stronger resolve. I thought that was the right move for an Edgeworth narrative.
It's actually that reason why I love what's the character's name? He's like he used to be the
the goat, Eustace. Are we talking about Eustace?
No, I'm not talking about Eustace Wiener. I'm talking about he was the sidekick.
Oh,
for
Eddie Vendor. I love
Eddie Vendor. Yeah,
I love Eddie.
I love him.
He's so funny.
Eustace Wiener. Eustace
Winner. Winner. Not no. It's his name is Eustace Winner.
Hold on. Let me show my age for a second. Sebastian
no.
DeBest. Thank you very much.
DeBest.
DeBest is the funniest last name. I'm sorry.
It's
like
pretty
Winner's
good.
good, but I love DeBest.
No, I remember telling you
This is
like
pretty
Eustace
good,
the
yeah.
Winner. He's like, wait, that's his name now.
Eustace
But,
Winner.
I didn't like his gimmick at first, but it wasn't until the final episode I was like, wait, he's cooking.
Were you talking about Eustace?
Yeah.
For me, like from the get-go, I was super invested in Eustace and his story, because it was clear to me where it was going. And that was so exciting. And like, this is where I'm going to say one of my first major criticisms of this game. I think that they handle Eustace kind of poorly, not in his character, but in everybody that's around him, except for Edgeworth.
I think as a foil to Edgeworth, I think he's excellent in how he.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I just don't like everyone else. Everyone else is like too mean to him, and I don't think they do enough to actually explore.
I think
those dynamics.
I personally think Blaze is fine being I don't remember what his name is in the official local. Eustace's dad.
Oh, Excelsius.
I think he's fine as a caricature type villain, but I can see why that would be disappointing.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, I think Excelsius is probably one of my least favorite characters in the series, because of how they handle. He's just a bad guy, and I think Eustace deserved better, not in the sense of like he deserved a better dad. No, he deserved a better like character to work off of, in the same way that like Edgeworth had like Manfred and like Gregory so it's.
Speaking of that, I really like. Normally, I would say the final episode is my favorite episode of an Ace Attorney game most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I like the third episode the most out of the Investigations too. I like the back and forth between Gregory and Edgeworth, like in points of time where like you see like the more you go on, like, oh, these are more similar than we think, and that you do need to think of what happened when Gregory was going after this case to understand what happened in the case Edgeworth is doing at the moment. Like, it's really well done.
I have a few problems with the case. Just like off the bat, it led off on the wrong foot, because I'm not a fan of like 8 years ago there was a crime, and now we're having another crime in the same place with the same people, and I'm like, okay.
It just seems like a you problem.
Sure. I don't know. I think it's lame to like everybody from 8 years ago is here right now and there's another death. That almost never works for me.
But Von Karma.
Oh, funny.
Okay. Von Karma is one of my other criticisms. I think he's a shell of his former self in that case. I think he was. The fact that like Gregory said one little thing as a gotcha and he was sweating, no, that is not the Von Karma I know. He would literally never.
played this case in a while, obviously, so kind of only going off of your word, I can completely agree with that.
Yeah, it's he is so weak, and he overlooks too much for being a perfectionist in this case.
Yeah.
There's just so much that he somehow misses.
It almost sounds like just too many liberties were taken to make the gameplay aspect of the case work.
Yeah, because like you walk up to like there's like the salt lamp. Then there's a massive blood stain on it that is very visible, and you walk up and it's like, huh, is that
maybe
a salt lamp?
Karma didn't have his contact.
Is that a salt lamp? Wow, I love salt lamps. And then you have to click on it again and be like, oh, what is that? Could it be red food dye? And you're like, okay, no.
Yeah,
that's biggest pet peeve in any Ace Attorney game, when I have to do that extra step for something that should be obvious.
It definitely could be too, because like that'll be something I'm interested, because I am gonna eventually replay Investigations too. Since it's been a couple of years, I want to go through it with that comb and see how much it holds up for me, because I do think it is gonna hold up for me. But
wait, Caleb, what do you think of Variety with Gavel?
I'll get to that later. I want to let Neck finish what he's saying.
I was gonna say too, because like obviously, like, you know, there was the change in writer between Apollo Justice and Investigations.
There was?
Yeah, everything past Apollo Justice, with the exception of the crossover and the Great Ace Attorney games, are written by a different guy. And he has actually stepped down, I think, too, recently. So if Ace Attorney 7 ever comes... At least I think so. Let me actually fact-check myself on that one. Yamazaki Ace Attorney. And, obviously, I don't like to point the finger and just be like, Shu Takumi good, Yamazaki bad. But, like, definitely, I think you can sort of feel, like, the handoff of the character there. It's a similar thing to, like, Edgeworth 1 didn't really get Edgeworth.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Edgeworth 2, he got a lot better.
Yeah.
At writing Edgeworth. And I think in general, I think a lot of characters in Investigations they're returning kind of feel like Flanderized versions of themselves. And some of that is just a natural sequel thing, too, that, like, Takumi may very well have done, too, if he kept using those characters.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Von Karma was, like, the worst of it. And I think the other Von Karma...
Yamazaki stopped working at Capcom in 2020, so I was correct on that.
Okay.
So, yeah, who knows if Ace Attorney 7 comes out, who will be the lead writer on that.
It'll be me.
Oh, no, then Case 1 will be investigating Emma Sky's corpse. I don't want that.
Yeah, it will be.
No! Get out of here.
But, yeah, I think like, both of the Von Karmas kind of were very... basic
That is one of my biggest frustrations with Investigations 1. Actually, you bringing that up is Trials and Tribulations. Franziska is like, she's like, a last name is just a last name, and then she regresses Investigations 1 back to Von Karma.
Yeah,
and it's still a little bad in Investigations 2, but she at least has that moment with Eustace that I'm like,
it feels like
there was a reason for you to be here just for that.
It feels like the writer, I forgot his name. Shit. It feels
Yamazaki.
like it feels like Yamazaki. Yeah, it feels like Yamazaki played the first 2 Ace Attorney games and skipped Trials and Tribulations. If that sense.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, I'm not saying that's not what it is.
He's just drawing from the most popular versions of the character.
Probably, yeah. Well, I wasn't saying like that's not what I. Wait, it's true. It's just what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
But I do think Investigation 2 has better writing. Not perfect, better writing.
Yeah, I think Investigation 2 is definitely better than the first one, but it's a very, very low bar to cross, in my opinion. Especially, the first case leads off totally on the wrong foot with the birthmark. I was livid. I'm like, this is the #1 game in the series. There's no way.
Birthmark, I don't actually remember that.
The birthmark is on the hand, I think.
No. They were like, they found a gun with a laser sight on it in a trash can. And they're like, what is this doing here? And then someone's like, oh, I have a picture of the speech. And it shows like the guy, the president, with like with the laser on his forehead. And they're like, wow, I didn't know he had a birthmark. And I'm like, I'm going to scream.
Oh,
this?
true.
Yeah. I was fuming. I'm like, there is no way this is happening right now.
What character says that? Please don't tell me it's Edgeworth.
It's like it's K or Gumshoe.
Okay.
And then I think Edgeworth like thinks about it for a second and goes, that doesn't sound right. And then
I thought it was Tabby.
Was it?
Tabby the reporter?
She had the picture. I don't know if she brought up the birthmark. I know Gumshoe and K commented on the birthmark.
Because in that moment, it was just Edgeworth, K, Gumshoe, Tabby, and the assassin.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna actually try to pull up how the fan translation did this and see.
Yeah.
But it's the fan translation.
It was so. It was.
Look, I'm a boomer.
I was. Yeah, but other than that, there were still a couple of like little things little things here and there that kind of bothered me throughout the game. That kind of like I think needed explaining, like how they're talking about like, yeah, this building has a secret 51st floor, and I'm like, how does nobody know this? How does literally nobody know that this exists?
It's plain as sight as well.
Yeah, and it's like that's why most of the time when doing a secret extra floor in a building, when you're writing something out, people usually go down. Because that makes more sense. You can't see it.
I mean, it would
underground.
it would make sense if Exclusives like dealt with that.
Celsius.
Because Exclusive. Fuck, I can't say that. If Winner's father dealt with that would make sense. But they don't say it, so it's even more off-putting.
It only makes sense if he built the building himself.
He just paid off the builder.
I could be wrong here, but they talk about like in the fourth case, or maybe the third case or something. The committee somewhat recently moved to that building.
That was fourth case.
So like how did nobody know there was a 51st floor except for him?
Because he planned it. That's why.
But how did he know there was a 51st floor, and how did nobody else know that there was a 51st floor? Like, you can say he planned it, but like, how? How did he plan this? There's a latch that's very visible on the roof that leads somewhere, and nobody knew about it. Like, it's a small
Wait, no,
thing.
he would have known about it because he was part of the black market deals.
Yes, but I'm talking beyond that. Like, I'm talking
beyond
like,
that.
The people that like own the building, or like the police when they investigate, or literally anything. Like, it seems a little too ridiculous. And I'm also not going to say regarding like the final case that I looked into how like laws regarding hot air balloons, but the fact that nobody commented on it was apparent.
I will say this about the final episode. It's also one of my favorites, but the villain reveal honestly took me off guard for a minute.
I expected it from the end of case 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, if you focus on the fact that the kids are part of that mystery that's left off the table and figure out pairs, I don't think it's impossible. I was spoiled on who the villain was before I even played the game, so I could not approach that with a clean perspective.
Didn't he have like a different like name in the fan translation as well?
It was Simon Keys.
It's Simeon Say in the translation.
I think that's a good name for him.
Yeah. I also really like Verity Gavel. I really liked her as well. She was really cool. And she was also like a really good threat to Edgeworth because she's part of the committee.
I really wanted to like her, but I felt like over time she really like lost her luster for me. Like, I don't know. I think she was too quick to dismiss literally everything all the time. And then she like has a moment where she like regrets what she's doing randomly, and then she feels really bad, and then everything goes bad and she goes, "I'm so sorry." And then it's
Well,
like, I don't care. I do not care.
Well, I feel like that's because in that moment she sees that Edgeworth is willing to give up almost everything to his career to help Kay, and that's what makes her realize that because
Yeah, but it feels so shallow. Like, I know why it happens.
because Edgeworth, for Trials and Tribulations to now, because in timeline the investigation games are a few months after Trials and Tribulations. He's been doing things prosecutors don't fucking do most of the time.
That's Ace Attorney.
Yeah, but it's so strange how quick she always is to just dismiss everything, and then all of a sudden, like, Edgeworth gives everything up, which was a big moment.
Well, she also mentions it many times that it's the committee that's concerned about him, so it's not up to her as well.
Yeah, but they don't go into that. They don't really dive into her dynamic with the committee and what that really
She
means,
is the
what
face
it looks
of the
like.
in the game for all intents and purposes.
She that's all she does. And I think she's a little shallow, and I wanted more.
She's probably the most forgettable rival for me, if I'm being honest. Like, at least as far as the main rivals go. There's only a couple things I really remember about her. I remember finding that her jump in character between cases 4 and 5 was a bit, like, I found that a little hard to reconcile.
Yeah.
Because it, like, I get, because obviously the theme of, like, parent-child relationships is the thing in investigations too.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, giving her the son there and tying him in everything, but now, like, that is what her character is about, whereas before it was more of her surrogate, being like a surrogate kind of mom to Eustace. So I just remember that jump being weird, and also she's hot, and I think that's
yeah, she's hot. Yeah,
I think that's.
I will say also, sorry.
No, that's it. I just wanted to get those 2 points.
I will say, I also like. Sorry. I will say, I do like Little Thief in the final episode, because going back and forth between different points in time with Little Thief, that is smart. That's what it should have been.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they actually did a really good job. I kind of groaned when they brought it back.
You groaned? No, don't get me wrong. I also groaned because I was like, man, Little Thief was like so disappointing.
And then it was good, and I was like, no way.
It was a worthwhile mechanic. Also, this doesn't factor into the quality that much, but like the investigation duology, favorite Ace Attorney soundtracks not a contest.
Oh, wait a minute. Speaking of mechanics, Mind Chess was so stupid, except that one time.
What?
Mind Chess was boring. It was, do I pick the right answer or the wrong answer? And then that's it.
Because you have to
use
your brain.
Personally,
you don't have to use your brain. What was that?
I had to use my brain.
I remember really enjoying it personally.
That's fair.
I think part of it is I just found it as really flavorful as like Edgeworth's ability.
It does make sense for Edgeworth to have it, but it was like a lot of times it was like there were 2 choices and they were just very obvious. Like,
it does go to say though that the only like Mind Chess section I can actually remember is the Eustace one though.
The last one, yeah.
That one is fantastic.
That one's hard.
That one is really, really good. I have no complaints there at all whatsoever. I just wish that other Mind Chess segments were half of what that was, you know?
I get it, but I'm monkey brain, so I liked it.
It's definitely not my favorite investigation.
I mean, it's not my favorite investigation mechanic. I like the
those come later.
Apologize, yeah.
No.
Wait, what? Oh.
Favorite investigation.
Yes, I gotta play Jordan Z faster.
Not that one either.
Yeah, I know. I know you're talking about Great Ace Attorney, I think.
Well, that and Spirit of Justice have
Oh yeah,
favorite
yeah.
gamings.
But yeah, this I don't know why, but like the Apollo through Investigations, those 3DS games, why do they have like the best soundtracks in all of Ace Attorney? Honestly, like they have the best objection theme. They have the best overworld. They have the best like fucking like area themes as well. It's like God, y'all cooked for those three. Then I go to Dual Destinies, I'm like, it's not bad, but why doesn't it sound like Apollo Justice?
I think all the soundtracks are pretty good. I don't
I
know
like
that
a
I have
lot
a
of them.
favorite.
I like a lot of the court music in Dual Destinies. I do agree the environmental themes are a little weak, though. Spirit of Justice is my least favorite soundtrack, so
I agree.
but it's got my favorite objection theme.
I'm gonna say one last thing about the Investigations duology, and then I'll be right back. I think Investigations 1 had a more like conclusive ending than the second game.
Yes.
And I'll be right back.
Well, he was supposed to have
man,
that
I kind of want to chew on that because I don't know if I agree, but I also don't remember the Investigations 1 ending that well.
It was very cut and dry from what I remember. Well, not cut and dry, but more
Like,
so
just
like...
isn't, like closing. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of. Man, I wish he didn't leave. I kind of want to ask what he meant on that.
Yeah. Yeah. He probably
Maybe I don't know, because like Investigation 2's ending was so character rich in a way that I feel like
Investigations 1 is more so like trying to its ending is more so
like it's closing up the Yatagarasu stuff.
Yeah, it's closing that up, which is personal to K, but my problem is that I don't know K as much as a character, so I didn't really care for it that much. But it does make sense on the focus on that, because that was also the main focus of episode 4 of Investigations 1.
I mean, it was the overarching story, essentially.
Yeah. But that and the smuggler that gets carried over to Investigations 2 though.
I mean, I feel like the smuggling ring was kind of done in the first one. Some of the Zhongfa stuff carries over.
Yeah. Well, since Caleb's not here for his section, I guess we got to swallow that pill, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can go over it real quick. I don't have much to say. Dr. Mario 64 is really fun. I like puzzle games. I just legitimately, I was just hanging out with my friends one night, and we were just like sitting there, like everyone was doing their own things. So I picked up, I just played it on the N64 like virtual console, and I'm like, oh, this is actually just really fun. I like the sprites, they're really charming. It's weirdly a sequel to one of my favorite childhood games, Wario Land 3.
What?
It features a villain that only ever appeared in Wario Land 3 as like the main antagonist, and I'm like, huh.
That is so weird.
I love that.
What?
I mean, it's cool.
Who's the antagonist?
Rudy the Clown.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I played it. I did one playthrough with Mario. I did one playthrough with Wario. It was fun. I liked it.
I like the original Dr. Mario, so I might give that a try.
And it made me, appreciate that style of puzzle game a lot, which might be relevant coming up. But not immediately, because first we need to wind back the clock a little bit and experience generations of animal.
I am terrified.
I played Sonic Generations.
Yeah, this is like the one of the few Sonic games you're like, I'm not gonna play it.
Can I just say one thing and leave it at that?
What?
Because I know regardless of what I say, the Sonic community is gonna blow me up with their mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I liked Forces more.
Ooh, that hurt. Oh.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the house in Fata Morgana, a real video
Damn.
game.
10 seconds and the sound can be just gonna be on. Actually, you love Twitter and you're on Blue Sky now. They're not gonna affect you
Let's
that
go.
much.
Yeah, hate me at what's my Blue Sky handle? It's probably
At,
just Kibbs
at
McGibbs. I don't know.
KibbsMcGibbs at Blue. Can they add that fucking at Blue Sky thing at the end now?
I don't-
Actually, Nick, when are you gonna go to Blue Sky?
When I feel like it.
Fair enough.
Which is
Okay.
right now.
No.
He has to, but first
Oh.
he has to go to a house of someone
Oh, the
of certain
house.
significance.
In the house of Fata Morgana.
Or as I typed it, the house of Data Morgana.
I didn't want to say it.
If you don't like the Trails in the Sky the Third, don't play this game. There's so many doors.
There's
What do you mean by that?
there's a lot of doors.
I mean, I didn't mind the doors in the third.
Yeah, but okay, so like, I don't know what it got me so good. The House in Fata Morgana is such a beautiful story. It's like literally life changing, and it's you're in the titular house of Fata Morgana. And you go through all these doors, and each one has a story behind it, and they all kind of come together at the end. And I don't want to like talk too much about this because I don't want
It is
I
a
don't want to say.
difficult one to explain without.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, and it's too easy to spoil. But it is, if visual novels are your thing and you haven't played The House in Fata Morgana, like, you've gotta do it. Or if you're just looking for something to read, maybe, like, it's on the Switch. You can get it. It's probably like, I don't know, like $30 or something, maybe 40. It goes on sale pretty often. The Switch version is the definitive way to play it as well. The music and the visuals are touched up a little bit more.
Also has like a ton of content that I don't think is in any other release.
Yeah, it has 2 or 3 side stories. I haven't gone through the side stories yet, but I've heard one of them is like fantastic and is on par with the quality of the main game. And then there's one more experimental story.
Oh yeah, you never did Requiem for Innocence, right?
No, I haven't. Because
That's like almost required reading as far as Fata Morgana is concerned.
That's what I've heard. I just had once I finished Fata Morgana, I felt complete.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fair.
But I do absolutely want to get back to it. It doesn't pull its punches in any of what it kind of in any of the stuff that it handles throughout the story. So there are some points that are pretty rough to get through, but it's a story unlike anything else I've experienced. It is just beautiful.
I do have some interest in it ever since you talked about it on Backlogged to some extent. But here's the things for me. I mentioned this to you before Nick came in. I am basically obligated to play Danganronpa after I finish my Ace Attorney journey.
Oh,
and
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And actually it's not that bad because my little brother gifted me the trilogy, so I didn't pay anything for them. But you said the Switch version is the best version. I can't play visual novels on Switch. It's a me thing. I just prefer to play it with keyboard and mouse.
What?
I'm not joking, by the way.
What do you mean?
I don't know what it is, but like playing Ace Attorney on Switch, I'm like, man, I'm not feeling it. Then I play it on PC, I'm like, man, I'm really feeling it.
If it makes you feel better, all you do is hit the A button. On your DS and your iPhone or iPod.
That version is ass. All right, never play the original trilogy release on iOS. That is the worst version of Ace Attorney.
But I played the iOS demo of Dual Destiny.
Well, that's the better version of Dual Destinies. Which is
really?
Yeah, but we don't. Off topic. I do have one thing to say on Fata Morgana.
It better be positive.
So I did really enjoy Fata Morgana.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I personally found it a little overhyped.
It's
It's still like a 9 out of 10 for me. I still like enjoyed a lot of it. It is just, and you're gonna hate me for this one.
Oh no.
Because
Is it the pros? Is it the
no,
dialogue?
no, it's nothing to do with the pros.
Okay.
There's just like certain things like narratively that I just don't think clicked with me as much. It's just my expectations for it and where they came from was trying to chase the high coming off of another story and seeing the two of them often mentioned in the same breath. And I'm sure you would disagree on this story being mentioned in the same breath as it.
Oh, I would, yeah.
My beloved Umaneko no Nakakoro ni. Because the two of them often come up side by side in like Western fan recommendations of VNs you should play.
Yeah, it was part of. I was very concerned going into it because when I had heard it talked about, it was in that same breath of like, oh, it's like Umineko and Fata Morgana are the best VNs, and I was like, oh, am I gonna hate this one too? And it was life changing in the best way. I think a lot of the story really clicked with me. There's a lot of there was a lot of stuff that I had like personally felt throughout the story, mainly in like the latter half. And it was like I'm sobbing every time I play the game. Like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I feel like that's emotionally impossible, though.
What do you mean?
It's crying every time you play the game. I mean, the story has to lose its luster at some point emotionally.
No.
Well, because I mean, given its structure, it is structured in a way where you're getting a lot of different stuff, which is nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That is a big thing. That is one of the big pros. I will absolutely give it. Is like how everything comes together is fantastic. It does a thing that I really like, where you are given disparate pieces of information, and you're like, and there's some very obvious through lines running through them, but there's also some things that are being left on the table. And as someone who does like when medium conventions are played with, there's some stuff in there that I did really like.
Yeah,
and
no, I know
exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm very.
It is like literally my big thing is just because I came out the side feeling like that was excellent, but I don't think my perspective has changed, and that is sort of I think where my like slight overhype came with it. I still think it is a very excellent visual novel.
Yeah, it's I'm watching kind of over the shoulder Emma go through it, and she did not really like the first door.
The first door is I've heard contentious with some people based on themes in it.
Yeah, the first door you kind of have to bear with. I don't think it's bad.
I got through the first door in one sitting, and I am able to accept stories as they are, and I did not see the story condoning those themes. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was a big thing. Yeah, I know that was a big thing for me. And she's going through the second one right now. She's like, it's picking up. I like
question
this.
For you actually, because a lot of people of those early doors, their favorite is the third. I'm more of a door 2 guy. Where do you stand on that?
The first door.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because like I love door 2 for a reason that I think a lot of people hate it. Which is a lot of people I know feel cheated by door 2. I thought
really?
it did great. With how they set up the thing, because
I guess
I don't think it's huge to say that there's a lot of rug pulls in Fata I'm not gonna say where they happen.
Yeah.
Some people thought that rug pull was cheap. I thought it was great. I can go more into that if you want to talk about it after on like what people found dissatisfying.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get into that because I did of like the first like handful of doors, I did find 2 to be the weakest, but that's not to say that I thought anything negative towards it. It was just the one that I happened to enjoy the least. But like I still thoroughly loved it. And now they're making or trying to make a live action. I don't know if it's live action, but they're making a movie or a show or something.
Oh my fucking god! Of course, every video game needs one nowadays.
I am very scared because there's a lot of things Fate Morgana does, and I'm like, this is why the visual novel medium exists. And I'm like,
yep.
No, you should do.
Hey, watch it.
No. You should but before that, watch the Minecraft movie and the
I am not
Borderlands
watching
movie.
that.
Then watch
I am
it. Oh my
not.
god.
I'm not
I
watching.
mean, it's just the thing with all these like live action movies, right? Is they kind of make me just want to like lay down railways and annex a bunch of countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're talking about.
Like they make
Really?
me want to go to like a school, but like a military academy.
Oh my
Yeah. One with like preferably not too many classes, like maybe 7.
Well, maybe like 6 classes, but the 6th one is called Class 7 for some reason. That like I think I sort of get why, but I don't think I ever like fully clicked on why they did that.
And Reen Schwarzer.
Yeah, Reen Schwarzer's there.
Are you talking about Trails of Cold Stell?
Yeah, Cold Stell. Yeah.
Stell.
So, all right. Obviously, both me and Caleb played through all of these last year. Now, I do need to confess a little bit of a cheat. I didn't finish Cold Steel 4 till this year. I'm still going to talk about Cold Steel 4 on this list. You can't stop
Do
me.
it. Yeah, just get the 4, and then y'all can talk about Reverie and Daybreak next year.
I feel like you really can't talk about Cold Steel without talking about all of it.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I'm going to ask you a bit of a loaded question.
Uh-oh.
How nervous were you going into Cold Steel?
I wasn't that nervous. I was only nervous going into 4.
Okay.
Why 4?
4 has a reputation.
It's got a reputation.
Okay. Because, like, I do my best when it comes to media to, like, not let too many biases get in the way. But with Trails in particular, there's been a couple points. Like, with Azure, for example, I went into that game with, like, expectations through the roof.
Me too.
There was a couple areas I was let down as a result. Cold Steel, obviously, has some very vocal detractors. It is, I don't think, a controversial statement to say it is the most controversial arc in Trails so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That being said, Cold Steel 1 is pretty good.
Yeah.
There's for myself, there was a couple things in the early section that did get me a little nervous. In particular, and this is like, thankfully the game got over this really quickly, but like I did have a concern early on during one of the character introductions when a wacky anime fan service moment happened, and then so that in itself, I'm like, whatever, that happens. But then they like kept like one of the characters like was like really upset about that for like the first like 2 hours of gameplay. And I'm like, is this really what we should be spending our time on? Like, is this how we should be introducing these characters to us?
Aren't they like in high school though?
Yeah, without going into too much, our beloved protagonist Reen Schwarzer, in an attempt to save a girl, accidentally, when he grabs her, they both fall. He wakes up face first in her bosom. You know, It's a real got himself in a real wacky situation that they're
of a
reaching.
classic.
How's he gonna get out of them? And then she's just like really upset about that for the entire prologue, and that was like, oh, I don't want this to be the way that we're getting introduced to these characters. This is like a really important time to like set characters up.
Yeah.
Thankfully, as soon as like the first chapter started proper, she's like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I wanted to apologize, but didn't know when I could. And I'm like, okay, let's reset. Let's go back to 0.
Zero.
But yeah, what are some of your early thoughts on CS1? Because I've got sort of like a thesis to give on it at the end, but I don't want to cannibalize the Cold Steel.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of what you said covered most of my thoughts. I think for me, one of the biggest things I noticed immediately was the shift in gameplay, and was very very sad that they kind of changed some aspects of it. I also wasn't super big on the very beginning of the game, starting in the middle of the game, and then you flash back. They did this. This is like the, I think that was the third time they did this, and I was kind of over it by this point.
I think it was actually only the second.
Was it only the second?
Yeah, because the only other time they did it, I believe, at that point was in 0.
It was, yeah.
But
I was yeah.
Without going into details, I can understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have certain expectations from that.
Yeah. And it was I think it kind of led off on the wrong foot, but I think it really found its way with the rest of the game.
I think, and I'll be curious to see if you agree with this one. I think Cold Steel 1 is the most consistent Cold Steel game. I don't necessarily think it's the best, but I do think it probably has the most consistent quality throughout once it gets past that beginning.
I almost agree. Cold Steel 3 is pretty consistent, but it's stretched out a little bit longer. And well, no, I guess no, 3 definitely has like peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
I think you're, I think 1's the most consistent.
Yeah. 1, what I like about 1 is that sort of, it's our first proper look into Erebonia after hearing about it so much. And
Erebonia is the country Olivia's from, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think it really nails the sort of weird state it's in, where it's gearing up to something big. And if you've played Crossbell, you already know what that is.
Yeah.
And just that kind of sense of everything is fine right now, but that might not be forever, I think is handled pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the characters shine more in later entries. In particular, from this one, I walked away thinking Reen was just kind of all right.
Yeah, I think a lot of the main cast was just all right. I was a little worried because I knew ahead of time that it had the largest cast up until that point.
Oh, and
of main characters, and I was
really?
I was a little bit. Oh yeah, you have literally 12.
Your
main
starting set of characters is bigger than the Sky Party. Now, granted, Cold Steel, the original Sky, not Sky Third.
I must say, Sky Third has 20 characters.
Now, it only has 16. Now, granted, Cold Steel 1 is a lot like the original Trails in the Sky, where most of the time your party is picked out for you.
Yeah, it's kind of a revolving door.
It's split into every chapter has a school phase and then an exploration phase. The school phase, you typically have a bit more freedom with your party. Once you've got to use someone in the exploration phase, they kind of like join permanently. But you are introduced to everyone right up front. And then the exploration phases are like your very typical Trails game formula. I like the formula a lot in Cold Steel. Actually, I think it works well.
I think it works well for like the for the first game specifically.
Yes, I do think they tried to do it again a little too much to the detriment of some of the others. But we can talk about that when we get to them. At least in terms of, I don't think having I'll just say, I don't think the explorable labyrinth type area ever felt as good as it did in Cold Steel 1.
I can agree there.
That was kind of like one of the main mysteries of the game as you go.
Yeah.
It's basically Tartarus.
Yeah. It's...
And then whereas they had that same idea in 3 and 4, but it is just literally as a like in-between chapter training area.
It felt a little forced.
Mm-hmm.
In especially 3, I could justify it a little bit more in 4, but
4 was interesting because you only really did it for the first third of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's why I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess my closing thoughts on CS1 personally were I liked it. The ending was pretty good. Gameplay, I actually haven't talked about much. I enjoyed a lot. That was where I began my journey of playing these games on Nightmare. And I don't regret it with Cold Steel 1. I actually had a really good time.
You probably had to think during combat, you know?
I did. Well, I did until I realized Reen Schwarzer, when he uses his epic katana beam, sometimes that makes enemies not take a turn. And then I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. What if I gave him orbments that made that better? And then most Cold Steel fights for me, and this is across all these games, is I either just blitz the enemies and they just cannot attack, and then the moment they do get to attack, because I don't run any defensive gems, they like start to slaughter me, but once I swing momentum back, it's fine.
Yeah. I for Cold Steel 1, I really liked that it kind of had the similarities to Sky that we were talking about earlier. Because as much
the
as
rotating door.
Yeah, the sort of rotating door and kind of touring around Erebonia, I guess, it reminded me a lot of first chapter in the best way.
I can agree.
And I like 0 more, but I definitely missed that sort of cozier feeling. It was
there's something about Trails introduction games.
Mm-hmm. I'm not big on like world-ending stake stories most of the time.
I mean,
and so kind of everything being toned back a little bit more in the first Cold Steel was very refreshing.
My only like big thing is I just wish that like there was a little more like character development in Cold Steel 1. I think that's the one thing it was really missing for me.
What are you talking about? They got 3 sequels.
Yeah, that's the character development.
About that. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about on Cold Steel 1 left? Because we got 3 more of these bad boys to go.
No, that's all I gotta say.
Alright, so moving on from the most consistent game in the Cold Steel series to what I consider to be the least consistent. Personally.
Yeah.
Cold Steel 2. I'm gonna be straight up. If it was not for like the last third of this game, I wouldn't like it as much as I do. The more like I think back on it, like this is a game where like how much I liked the ending kind of overwrote like everything that came before it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I'll let Caleb start because I think you are much more critical in this game than I am.
So, yeah, I am.
This is your least favorite Cold Steel, right?
It might be my least favorite of the series.
I think I heard you say that to me before, yeah.
Um, I think a big part though for why it didn't work as much for me is because in the first game there's a character that also didn't really work for me. And they are at the heart of the story for 2.
They sure are.
And so I just kind of
Um,
was
for
like,
those
okay.
that have played Trails, this character may be a bit Raven-like. I will say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're trying not to go into spoilers because this ain't
gotcha.
a spoiler podcast, but they'll know.
I think Cold Steel 2 worked fantastically as a way to set up the next arc, but I don't think it did a whole lot
Yeah.
more than that.
What's frustrating about Cold Steel 2, right? I'll start with the positives. You know, it's Cold Steel 1's gameplay, but a little better. We've got some cool new tweaks. I thought the overdrive thing was fun, even though it never came back.
Yeah.
We got Lost Arts, which was fun, and
Oh, I love those actually.
the secret last game to have chest messages. They came back in a surprising way.
Would it kill y'all if I said I rarely recognize those?
That's a you problem.
Yeah.
What?
I get the chest. I don't read what's in the chest. I just get the item and leave.
This is why
That's
your
crazy.
playtimes are so low.
What?
This is why your playtimes are so low.
Oh,
But yeah, for me, so the biggest problem with Cold Steel 2, right, is it's the payoff game to Cold Steel 1. There's this like big conflict that was being built up to, not just in Cold Steel 1, but also hinted at in 0 and Azure. So you're like, ooh, we get to experience this, and experience is a strong word.
Yeah.
We are there. History is sort of happening, and we are having an impact on it, but it feels surprisingly low stakes for something that shouldn't feel low stakes.
Yeah, I think there was just a general lack of tension in the majority of what was going on, and I think part of that was trying to hold on to what they could from the formula of the formula
Yes.
for Cold Steel 1. And so it resulted in everything kind of feeling patched together, a little too segmented.
This was actually one of my bigger surprises, because going into Cold Steel, I was kind of under the impression that, like, a minor thing, but that all of them, the school was the main setting.
Oh.
So I was surprised with this one how it's not.
Mhm.
And I thought that was a good idea for how this arc works, to kind of have your intro games focus on the school a lot, and then your payoff games to not. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's still like Trails obviously follows a formula. These games like their formulas, and like Cold Steel 2 felt really rigid with how it did it, to the point where like just there wasn't enough happening, because like there wasn't a lot of narrative progression for a lot of it. And then normally I don't mind slow narrative progression if there's at least some good character growth, but I didn't really find that was going on a lot outside of like a few of the cast members.
Mm-hmm.
Where this game really did personally get me was the middle section was pretty cool, and then I really liked all of the end game.
Yeah,
That was where
fair.
some really big stuff happened, and then you think the game is over, and then it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other stuff happened that, like, I was like, okay, now I'm really invested in where this is all going.
Yeah, I think it was incredible setup.
Yeah. And what should have been a little bit more payoff.
Yeah. I will say there is one thing that does need to be acknowledged. New gameplay thing, very cool, very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I like those. After having for myself, not the most positive introduction to
Yeah,
that gameplay system in the first game.
yeah.
Without going too much, we get a Xenoblade 2 moment in the first game, where we get a new mechanic at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
And that mechanic sure did scale off of your levels. And I sure was playing on Nightmare. And it was just this gigantic difficulty spike during the final boss fight. So I had to quit and grind. And then I beat it, and then my power flashed. And I was furious.
Damn.
Like,
Oh,
genuinely had to, like, walk away from the game for an hour, come back, and try it again.
oh,
That
it was
sounds
just
rough.
devastating.
I was so mad. It was like as I beat it.
I would have just looked up the rest of the game.
No,
I
I
almost did that with Ace
had-
Attorney 1
I had-
because my the game crashed on me and I had to play the entirety of the final trial of 1-4 again.
I had to do it, and it was good. But yeah, no, that mechanic is a lot more fun in the second game, where it's both a regular thing and you have some customization with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was so fun that they would expand it 3 times. Cold Steel 3.
Also, 3.
I
I think this one's a little overrated.
think I agree.
People love it the
I-
most.
I've been like sitting on it because this one was another one similar to like Azure for me, where I knew like, okay, even people that like don't seem to like Cold Steel like this one,
Mhm.
and I will start with some positives. So Cold Steel 3 is effectively the start of the second arc of Cold Steel. There's a big jump between games 2 and 3, and as a result, we get a bunch of new characters. I love these kids.
Yeah.
I like these kids more than I like the kids in the first 2 games.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot less of them, so they
Sure.
actually get time to shine.
At this point, by the end of Cold Steel 2, I finally got like that investment in Rain, and like
Mhm.
this whole game, I was into Rain. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's like a couple things that I wish this game focused on a bit more that I thought was the direction it was going from Cold Steel 2. And I do sort of reconcile that, like, I try not to criticize something too much for not being what I expected it to be.
Mhm.
But I was a little disappointed when I saw it wasn't going that direction.
Yeah.
But I still think overall the way like Rain is handled in that game is pretty good.
Cold Steel 3 was when I really started to like love Rain as a character. And like by Cold Steel 4, I was like, okay, yeah, this guy, I like him better than that Lloyd schmuck.
I also like him more than Lloyd.
Well, it's the main character in Crossbow, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Cold Steel 3, we're in a new engine now. And like it looks pretty decent. Like Falcom is still very much like not top of the line by any means when it comes to their like resources.
Mhm.
But I think like with Cold Steel 3 we're getting there. Now I did at one point notice like how many characters do the punch in hand animation, and that started to get really funny to me every time I saw it across the next 3 games. Because it's like their one action pose.
I saw an animation in Daybreak that was reused from the Cold Steel games,
Please
and
tell
I
me it's the punch
clocked it
hand.
immediately. It was someone it looked like they were trying to heed a call, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh,
I lost my mind at that because I was like, "Whoa!"
that's hype.
Like,
I can't wait.
It was so funny.
Yeah. The good for Cold Steel 3. The gameplay's even better than it was in the
Oh.
last two.
Yes.
Like I adore the Brave Order mechanic. I think that was one of the best additions to Trails.
It took me a while to like get used to them. It was honestly kind of overwhelming with how much new stuff they added in this game.
It was scary at first, but that's the nice thing about Nightmare Mode is they make you learn what things do quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I didn't use Brave Orders, I was just done. So I had to figure out like, okay, like one, I actually do have to care about defense sometimes, as much as I don't want to.
Yeah.
I have to be defense to open up those offense periods. And doing that, it just made it a really satisfying gameplay experience. I think my biggest issue with Cold Steel 3 is that, and I need to kind of sit on this thought more because I don't feel like it's a very complete one yet. But I feel like it feels kind of aimless at times. I don't know if that's something that you felt.
I think it really struggled to find its footing in the very beginning.
Or you continue.
I think the school sections also kind of tie into that. It didn't feel like there was a use for the excuse for the school dungeon that felt meaningful enough. So it was kind of like a fourth of the game just kind of felt like it was there.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because it's a lot like Cold Steel 1, where a lot of what you're seeing is in mystery. But I didn't really like the presentation of the mystery as much this time around. With like trying to figure out, because this time around the antagonists are a lot more in your face, and there is reason behind everything they're doing, but I had to kind of really think about it to like sort of piece together like why their actions made sense, and not in like a satisfying like, oh, okay, so that's why they did this here, but more of like, okay, well, now having the mechanics of this work, I guess this is why this did this.
Yeah.
And it's also, again, this is where like cast bloat is starting to get really bad here. And this is something that was in Cold Steel 2, but this is also where I think a trope starts to become really prevalent of we defeated you, but
yeah, there were a lot of like things that were a little too repetitive when it came to Cold Steel 3, that being one of them.
But when this game is good,
good. When the game is good, it like the chapter, I think it's chapter 2, maybe it's chapter 3. I think it's chapter 2. Is just the highlight of the game. It is.
Is it the one where you
stellar.
Go to a certain location?
It is. And then the chapter after that, you go to that one location that appeared in the Northern War anime with the terrorist clown. Oh.
Yeah. That's actually probably my favorite.
Wait, terrorist clown?
Oh yeah. So we watched Northern. So had you finished Cold Steel 3 when we watched Northern War? Or had you like played part of it?
I think I was in the middle of it.
Okay. Because I watched Northern War before touching Cold Steel 3, and boy was that a mistake.
Yeah.
Because,
that was your mistake.
Man, that would have been so much more interesting of a setup had I not known what the Northern War was. Because I'll tell this to anyone that's watching this. Whatever you think, if you've only played Cold Steel 3, whatever you think happened in the Northern War is more interesting than what happened in the Northern War.
No, it really is. Because the Northern War...
Gotcha game advertisement described as an anime. It's so embarrassing.
No, it's so bad.
Yeah, I still really like CS3. At one point, I think it was my favorite Cold Steel game. I do not think that is the case anymore, but I don't know where I put it.
It's
All of them kind of jump around for me.
I think the next one is my favorite of the Cold Steel games.
But this is the bad one.
I know.
I like Cold Steel 4 a lot.
What do you mean by bad one?
A lot of people don't really like one of the major plot points, and I understand some of the criticisms of it. Like, there's a couple, but I think it does a really, really good job. I don't know how to. I'll try to avoid spoilers and like saying this.
Yeah.
I think it captures really well the effects of nationalism,
Yes.
and I think a lot of people kind of look at what 4 does at face value and goes, "This is stupid." When it's like, okay, look at what's happening here,
Yeah.
and look at what has happened before, and there's a lot of similarities.
4 is definitely the highest highs of Cold Steel. I think
Absolutely.
that is for certain with me. I do kind of struggle when it comes to like the middle of this game. I really don't like a lot of that. This is another one where like just like Cold Steel 2, I would say this is another one where the formula is very clear. In particular, like different sections of the games have different formulas, but you kind of get the feel for them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
In the first chunk of the game, I liked it, how it was
Yeah.
doing it. It was really the middle chunk. Its priorities did not align with what I was looking for at that point. I do think it absolutely gets back on track in its last chunk. There are so once again, really not much has changed gameplay wise from Cold Steel 3, I feel, aside from a couple really powerful things got nerfed, but there are some other really powerful things. That's actually kind of interesting to talk about. Is so Trails has always had this like kind of balancing act between like arts and crafts, the two main systems, where like arts are just way better than crafts in the original games. When you get to Crossbell, they're sort of equal. Then like crafts start to overtake arts in the first 2 Cold Steels, but then arts start to get their footing back in the later games. But they're in a good place where I feel like just both are busted, and I kind of love that. Man, you can make some broken characters in Cold Steel.
You could make some broken ones in Reverie.
I feel like the whole thing with Cold Steel is like crafts are like the broken battle mechanic or something like that.
It's both. It's both, honestly. It's just to get the most out of crafts, you have to just build a character entirely around crafts.
So you use the ornament to build the stats, and then you use crafts to utilize them.
But with the new Brave Order system, you can make some really broken casters.
Yeah, you do have to invest a little bit more into like a caster in terms of getting the stuff that you need. So crafts are just kind of more accessible.
Crafts are easier to build around, but like you get enough for both. And there's some casters that I like as characters, so I always have them on my team.
Y'all kind of like transitioned me into a caster after FC.
Casting is really good. I mean, so funny enough, actually, because after I beat Cold Steel 4, I looked up like some other builds people used, and the best 2 casters would surprise you. I don't know if you know who are considered the definitive casters in Cold Steel.
I have an idea, and I feel like those are wrong.
So one of them is Reen.
Huh?
Well, only in the final chapter.
What?
And it's specifically because of the accessories that you get through the bonding events.
Uh-huh.
If you do the original casters from Class 7, if you get their final bonding events, both of them, you get accessories that like cut his casting delay, and you can eventually get 0 delay casting Reen, where he can just cast as long as he has EP infinitely.
That's crazy.
And the other one, is a bit more of a spoiler character to talk about. But it may be a character that was alluded to earlier that you wouldn't think could be built as a caster. Or at least you wouldn't naturally think to build them that way. One that wields a twin blade, perhaps.
Wait.
You wouldn't know this character.
Seriously?
And it's because he has the only buff in the game that increases speed and magic.
That is so funny.
So, like, those two are actually the optimal casters, not the obvious characters that you would think would be.
I still feel like I know who you're talking about.
I mean, you shouldn't. He hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah. That's...
I know there's a pair of characters that show up in Cold Steel 4.
There is a certain
Yeah,
lovely,
neither of them use twin blades.
bright lady.
What do you mean? Hold on.
Do you know what a twin blade is? It's not two daggers, if that's what
Yeah.
you're thinking.
Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, no. Oh, never mind.
You know, like Darth Maul, like lightsaber.
Oh, that's a twin blade is?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like that. Both
there's-
swords.
Because
Oh,
it's like
okay.
twins.
Yeah, yeah. I guess to sort of get back onto CS4 as a whole. I mean, the end game of that one is so good.
Yeah, I think the beginning is like 10 out of 10. Like the first third, there's no notes. The latter half has a couple of little hiccups, but otherwise, I think it's fantastic. And the middle feels strange,
Yeah,
but I still loved it. And I think
we would need
that-
a more like spoiler to get kind of into. I guess my only other thing is, and this is sort of Cold Steel as a whole, but it does especially apply to 4. I am like kind of 50-50 on like the villain writing for these, where it's especially in Cold Steel 4. Like,
Yeah,
I would say half of the antagonists I love how they were done. The other half I felt were a little overbaked.
or underbaked in a couple.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, some it felt like they wanted you. They were like, "Do you get this character?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do get what you're going for with this character. I just don't find it very compelling." And
yeah.
then there are some others that are like, "Oh yeah, this guy." Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I think there's a couple I think that were really good.
there's one comment that was made in Cold Steel, in Cold Steel 4 that like has been like in the back of my mind since it was said, and I'm waiting for it to be resolved. And I'm like,
you should send me whatever.
I'll DM you.
But,
But yeah, that's all I've got to say about Cold Steel.
at least for myself, because we've been on it for so long. Cold Steel overall good. It does not like. I am still a Skyhead when it comes to trails. That is still
You
my
both
definitive-
are.
Yeah.
That is still my definitive favorite chunk, and nothing has ever quite got me that much. I do think gameplay-wise, these games only get better, but still much of Trails for me is the story, which is probably clear through this discussion. Like 90% of it has been story up to this point. And so that is like the main thing that I judge these games for.
I mean, you just have to wait till I play Cold Steel and Reverie to talk about Cold Steel.
Oh, Reverie. I literally finished that right before this recording started.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
A
that is
beast,
game
from
I
what I've
wanna
heard.
talk about at some point. Yeah. It's real good.
It's real good.
It's real good. It's finger looking good.
Exactly.
But Cold Steel is the game in the corner, you might say, or something. I don't fucking know. We got one last section.
Huh.
It's your time to shine, Caleb.
Okay, I played a lot of indie games last
Way
year.
too fucking many. Wait, you said you played 7 from this year, right?
I played 6 from not last year.
Ah, I don't remember what you played. God damn it.
But the main ones I played that I played a couple of weird ones like Moonscar's a little Metroidvania that was fun. It was kind of it's kind of like blasphemous in terms of its art style and stuff. It was good. I played Slice and Dice, which is just a silly little roguelike. And Curse to Golf, which is a golfing roguelike. Probably not going to say much about any of those, but there's two main ones I want to touch on, and that is Pentiment, which I don't know if it's indie. It's made by Obsidian.
I need to finish that. I played the first act.
Yeah, no, it's. I think a few people had played the first act. We're like, wow, that was really good, and then just kind of dropped it. And I get it, but it is the first game I've played that had a bibliography in the credits, and a pretty lengthy one. It's just like I think it takes place in like the 1600s or something, or maybe 1700s in Tassing, Germany. And it's like a weird artsy little mystery game.
Oh.
It's got everything that you kind of, when it comes to dialogue, that Obsidian is known for, like all the choices they go into, the choices matter and kind of determine what you can say in certain conversations, whether or not you can convince people.
I'm actually like so upset I put the game down because I remember making the choice at the end of Act 1.
Oh yeah.
Based on the investigation and the consequence from that. And then I was just like, because I saw the transition to Act 2 and I'm like, okay, this looks like a good spot to take like a little break from the game and play something else, and then I just never came back to it. So I think at this point I'd have to restart it.
I think you'd probably be fine.
Maybe. There would
jumping
be
back in.
There would be like there's at least a in-universe justification.
Yeah. Fantastic game. I knew I was gonna love it from the second I saw it. I finally over Christmas I visited my mom and I just played it like the entire time. Just blasted through it. It was a joy.
You haven't played Disco Elysium, right?
I haven't. It's on the list. It stares at me on my shelf, and I'm like, what if it comes to Switch 2?
Very interested to hear your thoughts on Disco Elysium, because that is another one of my all-time favorites.
Raiden recently went through it, so you could pick his brain.
I bought it for him.
That's so funny.
That was my Christmas gift to him. I wanted him to play it because I wanted to get his thoughts, and he loved it.
I bought Disco Elysium because you were speaking highly of it.
Braden like told me, he's like, I started this. I was like, okay, let me know how it is, and then he finished it and said, you need to play it, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. But it's one of those things that like I would love to play it portably, but I'm not playing it on the Switch.
Get a Steam Deck.
I don't want to buy a Steam Deck.
Because I bought a physical version of it for my roommate because I didn't want to directly support the Alma if I didn't have to. After everything that went down with that, but I remember them saying it ran fine. I don't know.
I have it on PS4 already, so like I have.
Sorry to steal the corner from Pentiment. I just figured those games, from what I know, got some similar things going. So
I think Braden, when I talked to him about Pentiment, I told him he needs to play that. He was like, I think he. It was shortly after I brought up Pentiment to him that he brought up Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
Because I've been singing Pentiment's praises since I finished it, especially for Braden, because that's kind of his wheelhouse more so. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It has a couple of little, like, it drags a little in some places, but it's nothing that's too much. And the other game I played, the other indie game that I want to note is a roguelike called Scourgebringer.
Just want to say
It is-
roguelike.
I don't think
It's-
I've heard of this.
I don't know anyone else that has, and I bought it on a whim because I was like, I was buying something off of PlayAsia, and it was like, you need to put $10 worth of stuff in your cart for free shipping, and I was like, okay, well, shipping's like $10 anyway, so I found Scourgebringer. It happened to be like $15 or something. I was like, whatever, added it to my cart, and it's one of my favorite roguelikes now. It's lightning fast, and it's very like hack and slashy. You have air dashes, and you literally like half the time you're in the air just swinging at enemies. It's like it's 2D in like the sense of like Dead Cells, but it moves a lot faster.
You already piqued my interest.
Yeah, it's really good. It's sometimes too frantic, but it's the type of game that looks more complicated than it is, for better and for worse. But it's like if you want to look cool playing a game in front of someone, that play Scourgebringer. It flew under the radar somehow. Came out like 2020. It is
October 2020.
Yeah, no, highly recommend.
Well, I mean, it makes
Check it
sense
out.
why it went under, because around that time, Hades was like the big indie game around that time.
Yeah. I think gameplay-wise, I like Scourgebringer more than Hades. I'm gonna say it. I like Hades more on the
Bro, Hades is
whole,
one of my
but-
favorite games.
Yeah, like Scourgebringer's up there for like roguelikes. It's probably like top.
I've been playing a lot of
Three.
roguelikes, so I put that on the wish list of me. I'm like, okay, when it's on sale, maybe.
Yeah,
But also, I've been playing the demo for RoboQuest, which is another roguelike, and I'm like, man, it's so
Oh
good.
yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. There is one indie game I'd like to mention real quick, if that's okay. It won't be long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everhood.
I love Everhood.
Everhood is so good.
It's
I've heard
so
a lot
good.
about it, but I have not played it.
Bro, they
You
released the sequel like out of nowhere earlier this month, and it was amazing.
I don't think it was out of nowhere. I think we've known about it for like a year.
No, we known that there was gonna be a sequel, but we didn't know the release date, and then they just released it out of nowhere. But Everhood
we knew the release date for a little while.
I didn't know the release date. If that's the case, then. But Everhood is a spiritual successor, not successor because they're still making fucking games, but like it's harping off of Undertale in terms of how it's
Heard that a lot.
it's basically a rhythm Undertale basically.
And it's funny enough, sort of what like almost kind of turned me away from trying it is I almost always heard people reference it into like in terms of Undertale rather than just on its own. And I say this is someone that liked Undertale.
Yeah.
I love Undertale, don't get me wrong, like top 25, one of my favorite games as well. But Everhood stands on its own at that halfway point. Like it's at that halfway point where it's like, oh, you're making me do this. Fuck.
I think it stands on its own from a get-go. I think
gameplay wise it stands on its own.
Yeah, I think it's one of the only times I accept when people say it's kind of like Undertale, because in vibes alone, I would say that it has
its art style, its visuals, its
But
the way the characters talk. It's like this is definitely Undertale coded.
I don't like comparing like this is like Dark Souls or this is like Undertale. This is like because there's
But I
everything.
feel like with this
Dark
one, it's
Souls and
blatantly
Undertale.
obvious though.
Yeah, with Everhood, it's actually like it actually will mean something, but I would rather talk about the game on its own merits. And
Yeah.
Soundtrack is fantastic.
Oh my
The
god,
gameplay is
bro!
engaging.
Frog's Wrath is
The-
like top 10 boss themes for me. So good.
It's so good. I don't think there's too much of a story going. I know a lot of people like the story of Everhood. I didn't think much of it. I think the
I
writing
thought it was
pretty
confusing.
funny. Yeah, I know people are complaining about Everhood 2's story being bad, and I was like, did the first one have a good story? Like,
The first one story makes sense to you because I got nothing out of it. It was all about the gameplay. Which, to be fair, The one thing I'll give Everhood over Undertale, I think its gameplay is kept me on my toes more consistently throughout than
Okay,
Undertale.
what kind of game is it?
It's a rhythm game that you
Okay.
have to the beat is the attacks the enemies send
What I've
toward
always
you.
almost gotten the vibe, like looking at it a while back, was almost like a Guitar Hero style thing.
It's not
Is that
Guitar Hero.
accurate?
So
Okay.
it's like Guitar Hero, but you have to dodge the notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it's.
That's why I say it keeps you more on your toes, especially at the halfway point where you get a certain thing that will change the way battles work. But if you like Undertale, I think you would really enjoy Everhood. Everhood's really good.
I think if you don't like Undertale, I don't like Undertale that much. I think Everhood's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, and we can get into different. it's a whole other topic we can get
We'll be
into.
talking about Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 next year.
I am not playing Deltarune.
I'm playing Deltarune. I'm playing that day one.
But now.
But anyway, before we end things, real quick, do we have any games we want to try and beat this year that we haven't played before?
Trails Beyond the Horizon.
Of course you would say. Of course you would say that. You have to go through Daybreak 1 and 2 first.
I'm in the finale of Daybreak.
Huh.
This
Is
is
it good?
Xenogears.
I want to play Xenogears.
That's
Xenogears.
It also helps that Xenoblade X Definitive Edition came out, so I'm like, man, I need to play Xenogears sooner.
That
Xenoblade X.
I mean, that I intend to pick up soon too. I'm just waiting for the Switch 2 Direct to announce whether any Switch games will be getting performance boosts, because that's gonna
Yeah.
be boosts for me.
I started Final Fantasy 13. I'm definitely gonna finish that, and y'all are gonna kill me after I finish it, most likely, knowing me.
So peak. It's so peak.
It's so boring. It's so boring.
Oh man, that reminds me. I should finally get around to playing 10 and finally having an opinion on it.
You never played 10?
Yeah, no. I mean, I started 10 a while back, and then I stopped it because I got a PS4, and I'm like, ooh, let's play 15 instead.
That's really funny.
Downfall, the downfall.
So
You stopped playing mid so you could play mid.
I need to go back. I remember what I played of 10. I liked it, other than the thing where for your characters to get, like, I didn't like how XP was handled in that game. Specifically, the you gotta like switch a
grid?
character out, let them get like specifically.
Yeah.
If you want everyone to get XP, they have to get at least one hit in the fights, and I was doing that in like every fight, slowing it down. So I think if I go back, I'm just gonna do like all right, when I go to a new zone, let's like level up some weak characters, but otherwise stick with the same party throughout, because that was really tedious.
That's like sad, because I think the grid system in 10 is really fun.
I liked the grid from what I saw of it. I didn't get too far. I think I only did like the first like trial type thing that you do towards the thing.
I did
know.
like 10.
Yeah, I like 10. I want to say 10 is like top Final Fantasy for me, because, 7, 16, 5, and 9, but
My
I really
reference
liked it.
is Caleb hates 10.
Uh-huh.
Everyone that I go to work with, it's like their favorite Final Fantasy.
TJ hates 10.
Yeah, I've generally
loves
heard a lot of
Trails.
love for 10, and then I've heard like a lot of hate for it, specifically with you and a couple of your friends.
Yeah.
Man, fuck Final Fantasy. All my homies hate Final Fantasy, and that's you, Caleb.
But I'm interested because, again, right? Like I don't, since it won't be coming in on like a pedestal. I'm just gonna treat it like anything else. I'm just gonna play it and see how I feel.
Yeah.
I like
And
a
I
lot of
know-
Final Fantasies, so I think there's a chance I'll come out at least liking it. I might end up loving it. I might end up hating it. We'll
I mean, what's the worst Final Fantasy you
Oh.
played? 2?
Yeah, and I got through that as a baby child.
I need to.
How?
It turns out you can do a lot of things when you have a lot of free time as a kid.
That is true. That is true.
You can just
I need to-
save and quit and just mash until the RNG is good enough. Because I didn't.
I know
understand
you two.
how those systems worked in that game.
I know YouTube will kill me if I don't play Trails to Zero this year.
Yeah. Or Azure. You can also finish the Cold Steel
Yeah.
Tetralogy and Reverie and
Bro,
Daybreak.
you're
and
forgetting the
Daybreak
fact I bought Metaphor earlier this year.
I still need
Don't
to play
care.
that.
Metaphor.
Anyway, that about Do it. This was
Yeah.
longer than I thought it was gonna be. Jesus.
Yeah,
We
I-
talked a lot about trails.
I know.
It was,
I know.
it was mostly Trails and Ace Attorney.
I know too. I was someone that's like, let's keep the section short, and I definitely did not help with that.
And I didn't keep you in check, so I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
Luckily, one
almost
of us
4
won't be
hours.
here next session, so that'll mitigate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it'll be the shortest section you ever had because I'm the problem.
Protector was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
Oh my god.